Attention, please. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
The following content contains adult language and humor that is not suitable for viewers under the age of 18. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. The views and opinions expressed during the following video content are those of the individual and may not reflect those of others.
Pacific414 Pop Talk is here. Sit back and relax and join the conversation. We've got Baron, Orman, Tagge, Cash Money, 007, and even Mike too. Pop culture, entertainment, news and reviews. Discussions are had, opinions made from the panel to the chat. Everyone is welcome here. Reactions, watch parties, and special guests. We like to have a good time. Pacific414 Pop Talk is underway. Pull up a seat, we're inviting you to stay. Articles, collectibles, reviews, you say. Baron, Cash, and Mike bring the fun tonight. Now sit back, relax, enjoy the show. Don't forget to like or comment below. We almost forgot to share out the show. Pacific414 Pop Talk is one of a kind. It's true. True. It's true. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome one and all to the Wednesday edition of Pacific414 Pop Talk, coming to you live on the Pacific414 YouTube channel and Rumble channel, along with our special guest Hellion and Cash Money 007. I'm your host Mike, and tonight we are going to get to know Hellion, know about her channel, know about her likes, dislikes, her interest, and of course at some point we're going to talk about baseball. And, of course, during that conversation about baseball, we're going to have to hear from Cash about how every team could defer payments if they want a winning team. Isn't that right, Cash?
Possibly.
Mm-hmm. But, Hellion, as our special guest, how are you doing today?
Well, I was doing pretty good up until a few minutes ago.
Yeah. Tech issues, Cash could tell you about the tech issues that he's had trying to do streams. I've had trying to do streams. Unfortunately, it is a part of streaming on YouTube, and it's something we all have to kind of work with. But today, we are definitely here to talk about you and your channel. And, before we do that, I do want to find out from Cash, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good. Just been reading some stuff. There's going to be the He-Man trailer tomorrow. I don't know how excited I am. I also read some stuff about how Ubisoft decided to cancel the Sands of Time remake. Oh boy. I'm really. It's really just funny to me, Mike, and disappointing when a company like Ubisoft used to be actually great, and how hard they have fallen. And not just Ubisoft, but a number of companies is crazy. Really crazy to me. Just companies that don't want to maximize their profits anymore. And different stuff.
They can, but they rather send the message.
Exactly. Just everything that goes on. The remakes, the reboots, this, even in gaming. It's just crazy to me that they can't just find their vision again. Where's a new Splinter Cell? Why don't we bring the guy back who does Rayman and all the other stuff that made their company such a success? It's disappointing, man. It really is. But if that's where they want to go, that's where they want to go. I mean, even from the Watch Dogs 2, which I thought the character was more interesting, to Watch Dogs 3. So, but yeah,
Yes, and Hellion is right. You are chatty, but
aren't we all?
Hellion. Oh, I know. I know. I have my moments. I have my moments. I do. Not gonna lie. But Hellion, first of all, welcome to Pacific414 Pop Talk, and I'm glad to have you here as our special guest. And my first question is for you, of course. What made you decide to start a YouTube channel?
Well, I'm not 100% sure. You know, I've always been fascinated with the channels and, you know, basically the communities that are made from the channels, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Right now I'm a little nervous, so just give me a little bit. I will ease into this and start rambling, and I probably can outtalk Cash.
Obviously.
Oh, we'll all blame Cash.
Right.
Even Phil blames Cash.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's always his fault.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it is. Even Lady Miss knows that.
Uh-huh. What a bunch of crap. What is it, CNN?
No, it's
But-
Pacific414 Pop Talk.
Uh-huh.
But one of the reasons I decided to try to do videos is I've been trying to write novels for years because I have a friend who told me I couldn't do it. And so far, in the past 10 years, I have proven him right. And I was like, you know, I get these ideas. And it starts out, you know, a basic idea, one character.
Mhm.
And then I'm like, well, it'd be kind of fun to add another one. And by the time I'm done with the whole concept, I have 8 characters that are point of view characters that a book cannot withstand. So I had to kind of dumb it down if I'm going to actually write a book. So I decided, you know what? Let us try to do podcasting with video and see how that works. I decided, you know, the first one I'm going to attempt is going to be a bit more basic. It's going to have a season, and I do believe the first season will have 12 videos.
Okay.
And during those 12 videos, it's going to tell the story of one person. The next season is going to talk about another character with the same scenario. You know, and if I can pull this one off, then I've got a few more planned after that.
So is it going to be an anthology series or?
Well, that one will be. It will, you know, you've heard of a crossroads demon, correct?
Yes.
Okay. The whole concept is you've got a crossroads demon and the concept of corrupt a wish. And basically, you know, you wish for something and you get your wish, but there is massive consequences to go with that wish. And each season, that's what the character will be dealing with. The consequences of what they wanted. And eventually I'm going to get into, I'm not doing just one idea.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, I can't do anything simple. No, it has to be complicated, and there has to be 500 moving parts. You know, so I've got that concept. I've got other fictional concepts, and I'm also considering doing genealogy.
Okay.
You know, because it's kind of fascinating to know what the people before you did. And the problem with genealogy is, one, you know, there's a lot of deadlines. And what I mean by a deadline is you can only get so far and then you can't find nothing. And it gets frustrating. And a lot of that deals with the fact that name changes, the spelling of it. And it's trying to figure out, okay, where did we immigrate from? And if we immigrated from XYZ place, how could the spelling have changed? And, you know, it can be fascinating because every once in a while you will find that one ancestor that has a story.
Hmm.
Typically they're royalty, but, but, they're fascinating of what you can find out. And I had a niece reach out to me and she wants to learn how. And I figured, you know what? We could do a channel, do live streams of this is how to do this. And also under that, I'm probably going to do right now, the working title would be Cemetery Stories
Okay.
because I haven't quite got it down because me and my crew, we get bored. And one of the cheapest things to do when you get bored is go to your local cemetery. And, while you're there, there's websites like findagrave.com, and you can find out stories of some of these people. Um, I'm assuming you know who Ronnie Van Zant is, correct?
Not off the top of my head, unfortunately.
He was the lead singer for Leonard Skinner.
Okay.
And originally, he was buried in a cemetery outside of Jacksonville in Orange Park. They had to move him because people kept digging him up. And he is currently probably about 5 miles from where I live right now. And they
All
had to
right.
put him in cement to keep people from digging him up.
Was there any particular reason why people kept digging up his grave?
I guess they wanted a part of him. I mean, it's sick, because I can't understand, having a fascination with a famous person that makes you want to say, I want to touch his dead body. This could be fun. No, that's just disgusting.
That's revolting to me. Let the person rest in peace.
So when we had first moved back to Jacksonville years ago, we went to Riverside, I think it's Riverside Memorial Park, which is where Ronnie Van Zant is buried. And we spent a good part of the afternoon looking for Ronnie. So while I was there, I took, some random pictures because, it's easier to take the pictures, go home, and Google the names and say, hey, does this person have a story? Well, that time I came across the man. I cannot remember his name. I wish I did because this would be a great story. I came across the man, and apparently his wife paid her brother XYZ dollars to kill her husband
Wow.
because she wanted the life insurance policy. Well, the dead husband got the last laugh. She wasn't the beneficiary. Yeah. And then there was another time we were there, and I came across these two brothers. And the mother had a third son. And she begged her third son, you need to move away from here. Your brothers died, and your brothers died violently. I just need you to get away from here. I cannot bury another son. So he moves to Seattle, Washington,
Okay.
and he is killed violently also.
Damn.
Yeah. So I wish I could remember the names because that was years ago that we had found that out. But, there's all kinds of stories like that. And,
And you want to
they're
be
not
able to tell those kind of stories so that people can hear about them, get to know about those types of
right.
stories that actually exist. And
Well, the thing about it is, everybody talks about, hey, I want to be immortal.
mhm.
The only way we can be immortal, basically on this plane is for people to still talk about us. And in a lot of cemeteries, you'll walk in and you can tell the people that haven't been there very long. They have the bright flowers. You know, you even got the people with dull flowers, and then you got the people with nothing.
Mhm.
Them are the people that have been forgotten about. You know, they had a story at one point, and they mattered. But apparently, everybody that they mattered to is going also.
Yeah.
So, you know, and maybe with me telling their story, then part of them gets to live on.
Well, I like that idea because everybody has a story behind the date they're born and the date they die.
You know, I've been
And
working on my family tree now for probably about 15 years. And my grandfather had a sister. Her name was Emily. I do believe Aunt Emily lived to be 91 years old.
Mhm.
She outlived every one of her children but one, and she had seven.
Wow.
You know, and I cannot even begin to imagine the hell that was. And one
I
of
can't
her
even
daughters,
fathom it.
one of her daughters died at 27 of self-inflicted arsenic poisoning.
Mm.
So I can imagine of all of her children's death, that one was probably the toughest to swallow.
Yeah. I mean, how could it not be?
So, so you know, yeah, I lost my train of thought. But you know, I get on a rant about what I'm doing, and I don't have a lot of people that'll listen to me. They'll be like, "Hey, I really, really want to hear what you say," until you start talking. And then by the time you hit the hour mark, and they're like, "Well, I gotta go wash my hair." So,
Yeah. And even with a topic like this, I'm not trying to discourage you or anything. I'm just trying to say, with a topic like this, you're going to find people who will probably want to listen to this, and then you're also going to find people who don't have the attention span to listen to
right.
it.
Well, it's kind of like the theory of what is it? I'm not everybody's cup of tea.
Hmm.
And I think it would fall under that category. You know, I guess the simple version of it is if everybody liked the same car, we'd all be driving the same car.
Yeah.
So, it took me a little while to figure out what is out there. What are people overly doing? And trying to do something different. You know, I also have a fascination with the missing
Okay.
or the people that were killed and their killers were never found. So one of the playlists I'm considering doing, if I can bring myself to do it, is basically cold case speculation. Because they deserve justice too. But I
Hmm.
do not want to get on the bandwagon as everybody else. I do not want this as a thing that I can profit from. Because morally, I feel that is wrong. Because no one should ever cash out on the death of another.
No.
But, it's not hard right now to find true crime. You turn your TV on, you turn YouTube on, hell, you turn on Spotify. You can't even scroll through Facebook without that.
You can go through X and you find things.
It's everywhere. And, that's like school shootings. School shootings were made popular by the media. Because, like, when you and I were growing up, it was almost unheard of.
Yep.
I mean, that don't,
If you heard about any kind of shootings that involved children, it was so rare.
yeah. And more than likely it did happen, but news didn't travel as fast as it does now.
No.
Yeah, I think
And
the first big one was the Columbine shooting in '99. That was definitely a big one.
yeah, so, and the media is part of the problem. But, I want to be able to do something to where I feel like I can make a difference. And, with the speculation,
Mm-hmm.
maybe, through the channel, people could think of things that no one else has thought of. And, even if one person is either found or their killer is found, then it accomplished something.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear about the guy that walked into the bar and was never seen again?
No.
I mean, he walks in a bar, he's caught on camera going in the bar, but he is never seen again.
And
Yeah,
something like that, it makes you go, "What happened?"
yeah. I
After
mean,
that moment,
I
what
mean,
transpired? What
someone,
were the courses of events that led to
and
his
I mean,
disappearance?
if I remember correctly, because I did do some extensive research on it, he goes back into the bar between 1:30 and 1:45, and the bar closed at 2.
Mm-hmm.
So in a 15-minute window, where did he go?
Yeah.
And his dad was all about, finding out what happened to his kid. Because I think he was early 20s, but his dad his dad died before he ever found out whatever happened to his son.
And
And
that has to be a film because I mean I don't know what it'd be like for a parent to not find out what happened to their child who's gone missing.
I had one go missing back in September, and she was missing for 12 hours. But we found out, where she was, what happened, and she's home safe. But it made me question of how do these people do it not knowing? Because, the not knowing has to be worse than the knowing.
Mm-hmm.
Because with the not knowing, there's always that hope that they're going to walk through that door. And every time that door opens, they are disappointed yet again.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
yeah,
we grew up at a time where you would see, missing children on milk cartons. You'd go into a
right.
store and you'd see, a picture of a missing person. And, have you seen this person? Watching the news, they would say, have you seen this person? They would have a segment where they would go
If I,
over who the person was, their height, their weight, and at least a current picture, as current as possible. And they
well,
would always have the 900 numbers saying, if you see this person, please call this number and let us know.
well, I think the reason they took it off the milk cartons is they said it was traumatizing the children. But that falls under the category of participation trophies too.
Yeah.
Because right now, with the Amber Alert, and I cannot scroll through Facebook without seeing one missing person.
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of times they're found. But then there are the rare occasions where they're never found.
Yeah.
And them have to be hard.
Yeah, I mean, even in my own area, you see posts on Facebook where, someone's gone missing and their last known location, whether it's a young person or even the elderly.
And so, shit, I think it was Connecticut had a man. I cannot remember when it was. I'd have to look at my notes. But he had a dog,
Mm-hmm.
and everywhere he went, he took his dog with him. And one day he asked one of his neighbors, "Hey, can you keep my dog for, X number of time?" And, the neighbor said, "Fine." Well, he never asked his neighbor to watch his dog. But he was there one day, and then he was. And after probably about a week, his mom went looking for him.
Mm-hmm.
And he left that dog in the house. And the dog had ran out of food. The dog had ran out of water. He has not been found yet. He had been dating a woman who decided she was going to step out of the relationship with a politician. And at one point, they rumored her son, had confessed to knowing where the body was.
Mm-hmm.
And they basically dug up the landfill and didn't find him. And that son, within a year, overdosed. So if he was guilty of the crime, he will never be punished in this lifetime, but they still don't know where the man is.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, it's just like the mystery of Jimmy Hoffa. No one's ever found his body. And there's several other stories that are out there that need to be told about a missing person, missing bodies. And
The Black
where are
Dahlia,
they?
one of the famous ones. There's something on the History Channel, or I think it was, about this guy's son said, "I think my dad was the one who killed this woman." The situation in Black Dahlia, yeah. So I don't know. Oh. How old do you think we are, Goat? 80?
Yeah,
I mean, Goat is correct. I was born in the 1900s.
so was Goat. I mean, he's probably older than all three of us combined.
That's great.
I'm sure he's not as old as Phil.
Actually, I do believe Goat is the same age as Cash.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, no, cold cases. I find those very interesting too, and there's still probably a number of them that haven't been solved yet, but they're trying. But after a number of years, the police officers can only do so much, and when they talk about it, it's like, if they haven't solved it, I'm sure it weighs heavily on them, because they'd like to find the people who have done this, or a person who did this. But it's also crazy to me. Like, why can't a woman go and just run in her neighborhood without somebody actually attacking her? Even somebody who, is not from the country. What? That can't be. But no, really, any of this stuff is crazy. Like, we should not have to live in a society where somebody else needs to be there to protect somebody else. Even in colleges at night, a young woman should be able to go back to her dorm room without somebody harassing her or potentially attacking her. But unfortunately, those days are long gone, and you've got to have somebody else going with you, probably back to the dorm room.
None of us should have to live our lives with our heads on a swivel.
Nope.
But unfortunately, that's not the way of the world anymore. It's not like when we were growing up. Yes, you would still hear about kidnapping.
Right.
I'm not going to act like there weren't any problem. But not to the extent of how things have gotten now.
Right. Phil,
so one of my local friends brought me a case, and for some odd reason, it was one that she felt very compelled to tell the story. And I started researching it, and a woman went to work at the local hospital.
Mm-hmm.
She gets in her car. The surveillance sees her leaving her car. It took her, I think, 30 minutes to get home. 45 minutes after she left work, her husband called and filed a missing person.
Mm-hmm.
This is prior to cell phone. And for me, that was a red flag, because, she's only 15 minutes late. Why are you calling? But apparently I'm the weird one, because I probably would have gave her at least an hour before I started panicking and calling the cops.
Yeah, because I mean, how many times, especially when we were growing up, we knew what time our parents got off work. We knew what time they usually got home if they didn't have to stop anywhere. But how many times did you find out that your parents might have stopped at the grocery store on the way home to pick up a few things, or they had to get gas, or stop at wherever? And that's why it took them a little longer.
Well, so 2 days later, her car was found probably 30 minutes from the hospital, but nowhere near her home. Where it was parked is probably about 10 minutes from where I live now. Okay. And it was parked at one of the local Walmarts. They found her body 2 years later. There's never been a suspect. They do not know what happened, from the time she left work until her car was found at Walmart.
Have you ever watched any of the videos where they're looking for a missing person and the case has been closed? And a lot of times they'll find them in riverbeds or a body of water where they find the car and the missing person.
Yes, I've seen a lot of them lately on Facebook. But the thing about it is with her, there's never been any clue. And I got to thinking, well, it's kind of weird that someone would just randomly kill a woman out of the blue. I mean, she works in a hospital. And I don't know if y'all are familiar with Jacksonville, Florida at all. This hospital is in one of the worst neighborhoods in the whole town. So they can't say whether or not someone got in the car with her, someone was waiting for her in the car, whatever. And I got to thinking, well, maybe it was a serial killer. So I did a little bit of research, and during that time, there was a serial killer. But she don't fit the victim profile. She was white. And all the other victims were people of color. So that definitely ruled him out.
Yeah.
But, that is the aspect of the speculation I was talking about. A bunch of armchair detectives.
Right.
I mean, you think about it too. Her husband calling, 45 minutes in, and she's not home yet. It makes you think, did he have something to do with it? To call that quick, because you have heard of stories where the husband has killed the wife and vice versa.
But, and like Beth was saying, women, when they're in public, and not even having to be in public, you have to put your phones down. You've got to pay attention to what's going on in front of you and also know who stands behind you.
Well, we've become, but we've become slaves to our technology in a lot of ways. Like we depend on it. Imagine what happens when the internet goes down or something with our computers. We depend on this stuff that we've built. But yes, people need to put their phone down. Even when people were playing Pokemon Go, there were some people who actually got hit because they weren't paying attention. Even though Pokemon Go was more to bring people out to give them more exercise, which is not a bad idea. But the problem is that people were paying attention, then they get hit by traffic, and it's true. Beth is right. People do need to put down their phones. You see it all the time.
Yeah,
Luckily,
you do see it all the time.
This neighborhood is pretty safe,
but
still, we had a situation around this area before where somebody was cleaning up graffiti and they got shot and killed. So, I mean, nothing is ever completely safe. And I think if you're out, I don't care who you are, especially women, but men as well, you bring a flashlight with you, bring ID on you. Don't take these things for granted. Your phone can do a lot, sure, but really, it's okay to just put the phone down and walk.
Yeah.
And just have it in your pocket. That's okay.
And see, I've worked in gas stations most of my adult life, and I'm not sure if y'all are aware of how dangerous it can be at a gas station. And that is where I've learned when I walk into a room, I pretty much know where everybody is standing. I may not be able to tell you
Mhm.
what they look like, but I know where they are.
Well, good lighting's important too for places like a gas station or whatever, even traffic going by, because it deters situations, or it's supposed to.
I mean, I don't know if you both remember this, but remember in the 90s, 7-Eleven was remodeling their stores so that they had brighter lighting because of robberies and things that were occurring at other 7-Eleven stores across the country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no.
I mean,
7-Eleven, 7-Eleven just got robbed here again in California. They stole some. What the heck did they stole? They stole cash. They stole some other stuff. I can't remember. And so the question is on the radio was, do these places need to unfortunately start being closed down because they've been robbed so much? It's just
Well,
crazy. Mm-hmm.
I know the law in Florida for overnight shifts. If
Mhm.
your store has been robbed at any point in history, it is mandatory you have two people on at all times. If your store has not been robbed, you're more than welcome to run a one-person shift, and it's not safe.
Yeah, if your store
I
is getting, yep, go ahead.
I moved to Georgia, and the town I was in was a little hole in the wall town. And I'm like, oh, it's a cute little old town. And I got a
Mhm.
job at the local truck stop. And I'm like, this can't be that bad. On Friday and Saturday nights, we had to have security. We had to have security because they, in the past, had had riots in the parking lot. We had to have security go into the men's bathroom because two men decided they wanted to be overly affectionate in the men's bathroom.
Mhm.
I mean, now the funny story was the one night a girl who was really drunk went to the women's bathroom with her boyfriend, and he got as far as getting her shirt off before she started puking. And then security went in after
Yeah, I'm sure.
them. But, you know, and it's through that line of work where I learned you have to know what's going on around,
Yeah.
and we were up in Georgia probably a little over a year ago when we were working for Spark, and we were busy inside Walmart doing a shop. We got our shop finished, got our stuff bagged up, get in the parking lot, and it's full of cops and fire trucks. I'm talking everybody from Camden County was at this Walmart. And I asked the guy with the fire department, I'm like, what the hell's going on? He's like, you didn't hear them announce that they were evacuating the store because someone called in a bomb threat?
Mhm.
Well, obviously not, and yeah, at that point they ended up shutting the store down for the rest of the day. But, I said something to the manager. I'm like, okay, you've got this many people in the store, and over half of them did not hear the announcement that the store was being evacuated. That is not good because I didn't hear
They,
it.
they don't pay attention, unfortunately.
Well, they a lot of stores don't do intercoms anymore like Target does, and it's because the customers don't want to be bothered with it. But for something like that, it should have been loud enough to where it at least startled people.
Mhm.
I'd rather have you scare the shit out of me and get me out of a dangerous situation than for me to sit there and think that, oh, everything's great and walk out and find out, hey, we could have just been bombed.
Yeah, I mean, when I worked retail, I would have to get on the intercom system at times and make announcements. We have a code Adam, a code White. You know, that if there was an emergency, unfortunately, we have to close the store and stuff like that. And I would make sure I was loud and clear enough where people could hear me, and I would repeat it several times.
But yeah, I worked at Walmart for a hot minute. They only let me get on the intercom once. Well, luckily the store was closed, so it was quite funny. Yeah.
Yeah, when I worked retail, we had some characters that would get onto the intercom when the store was open. So, we'd have to find that person if we could. There were a couple of times that the person got on one of the intercoms when, they had them on the support beams in the store.
Mhm.
And a couple of us saw them and they looked and they're like, oh, shit. It's like, yeah, you're in trouble now.
Yeah, I worked overnight, and the store I worked at was closed overnight. So we had a delivery, and you always have to let management know that there's a delivery. So it was, little bird to big bird. We have a flock of eagles trying to reach the nest. Yeah, they didn't find it funny. But that was also around about the time I asked one of the support managers who Anakin Skywalker was, and it was almost like, I peed on the Bible. Yeah, he was a big Star Wars fan.
Yes. I mean, let's face it. When you work retail, you can have some cool managers, and then you have the managers. It's like, oh, they're working the shift tonight. Yet.
You had the manager who blames you for stuff and said you didn't put the camera on the docking bay when you were not told to, and they're trying to scapegoat you, and then they change you to something else, and you're doing recovery, so you learn how to fold clothes really well. And it is a good technique, I will say, to learn, but then after it's over, you think you're going to be put on the cash register, and then you find out that some people were saving clothes under the counter and stealing them, and other crap going on. You're just like, are you kidding me with this? Then you find out later that after you're done with your seasonal, because you thought you were going to be on there longer, the store's not there anymore. So, yeah.
Yeah, when I first started working at the truck stop, the lady that does loss prevention walked up to me just randomly and told me, she's like, I don't like you. I looked at her, I was like, I guess it's a good thing I didn't come here to make friends.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, you get to the point whether you're working the truck stop like you were, or you're working retail, wherever the job is, you aren't there to make friends. You're there to do the job.
Well, she and I had a long talk after that, and the reason she didn't like me was because I don't take anything seriously. Well, if I take everything in my life seriously, I don't get out of bed.
Yeah.
But speaking of retail, I think my favorite complaint was when a woman walked up to me and she's like, ma'am, I just wanted to let you know your women's bathroom smells like poop.
Well, yes, yeah, that is usually where we deposit our waste.
And, with a straight face, I look at her, I was like, yes, ma'am, I'll have someone get on top of that. And of course, I went around telling everybody that I worked with about it, and they thought it was hilarious. And none of us went and made it not smell like poop because,
I'm sure that can be disgusting, but I'm sure places like somebody had to work at a strip joint or something, it could be worse.
Well, when you work at a truck stop, truckers shower there, okay? And after every trucker, you have to clean the shower. And sometimes you don't know what the funky goo is on the wall.
Oh, no.
Okay.
It's probably something Phil did. I told you, Phil.
I bet there are times you wish you had a hazmat suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now what was funny, we had somehow procured a shopping cart from Dollar General. We had a guy that was planning to walk, they were planning to walk from Waycross to Brunswick, okay, which is, I think, a 45-minute drive. And he had bought a case of beer. And we told him, you cannot sit in the back and drink beer. Next thing we know, we went to take out the trash and put in our lovely procured Dollar General cart. And sorry, my daughter keeps asking me questions. But we go to put our trash in the Dollar General cart. It's going. He stole our Dollar General cart. And it ain't like you can call the police and say, we stole it years ago. It was ours.
Yeah, could you guys come and retrieve our stolen shopping cart that one of us procured? We're not going to tell you how, but we procured it and bring it back to us.
Well, I didn't know it. It was there when I got there, so I don't know.
I mean,
but I think the funniest call I ever had to make to get the police out there was when I had a man come in and basically complain about another man. Apparently, he was trying to solicit sex from the truckers. And I told the dispatch, I was like, I really don't give a shit what he does, but eventually he's going to run up on the wrong trucker and he's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Some of these guys, some of these guys ain't gonna find that funny. I thought it was hilarious, but
you better be careful there, man, because one of these guys is going to come around and put their fist in your face.
oh yeah. What, McKenna? But yeah, I mean, I have probably 1,000,001 truck stop stories.
I'd love to hear them.
Okay, so one night I preferred to work in the back side of the store where the truckers were because the truckers are typically laid back, easygoing. You can talk to them, as long as you don't make them wait, they're happy. And one night a man walks up to me. He's like, I am in a really bad spot. I am willing to sell my ass for some gas. And I explained to him, I'm like, sir, if I help you out with gas, there's a possibility I don't feed my children. And he's like, I'm really hurt up. What can you do? I was like, I'm not in a position to where I can do anything because you can't help everybody.
No,
you
can't.
Just don't have the money. You don't have the money to help everybody. And he asked me, he's like, can I go out back and ask your truckers for some money? I was like, no, you cannot. And he's like, well, I guess you're just going to have to call the police, aren't you? Well, the way it worked was I had to contact management to let them know I was having to call the police. Well, by the time I got a hold of management, which took a hot minute, I come back out there. He's got a fistful of dollars, and someone's sending him money on Cash App. At this point, I'm pretty pissed because I told him not to. And he looked at me. He's like, I've got X number of dollars. I want to get X number of dollars in gas. I was like, you're not getting gas here. You're going to go down the road and get it somewhere else. You're not getting it here. I thought he was going to punch me. And I told him flat out, I was like, I told you not to be asking people for money. I mean, I avoid going places to where people sit out and ask for money. Because if I got cash, I feel guilty and give it to them. But no, my coworker was ready to come around the counter because he looked like he was going to punch me.
Yeah, I mean, that reminds me of when I had my first job working in a restaurant. And, it was late at night. We were getting ready to close. And we had this guy who was drunk and he was harassing one of our servers. And I walk up to him and I tell him to leave her alone. And he says, "What are you going to do about it?" And he starts threatening me, threatening other people. Well, one of our local off-duty sheriffs come up behind him, and one of our guys from the kitchen come up behind me. And they're all, "What are you going to do about it? You're harassing her. Mike's going to stop you. And he's going to ask you to leave." And, my dad was coming to the restaurant to give me a ride home. And my late father was a retired California Highway Patrol officer. So my dad comes in, and the guy who was the off-duty police officer says, "You used to be a cop, didn't you? I could tell by the walk." And my dad's all, "Yep." I was like, "Okay, pal, you can make a choice. You could leave, or these guys are going to make you leave."
Well, not long after you were done, right?
Yeah, I was.
Okay, just making sure. But not long after I started at the truck stop, the person I had been working with had went home for the night. So there was one lady that was working on the truck side, and I was still on store side, and I really fucking hate store side. But I had a hellacious line. And the guy, probably about third or fourth in line, decided he was going to start smacking the lady on the ass in front of him. Or not, yeah, the lady in front of him. And he kept smacking her in the ass. And you could tell by the look on her face that she did not know him. And I'm like, "Dude, you need to settle down." And he was like, "Who the fuck are you to tell me to settle down?" Well, now he's cussed at me and, getting kind of pissed off about it. I told him, I was like, "You know what, dude? I'm the bitch fixing to ring up your fucking beer. So if you want your fucking beer, you're going to keep your hands to yourself and you're going to shut the fuck up." You know what he did?
He shut the fuck up.
He kept his hands to himself and shut the fuck up. And I'm pretty sure if management would have listened to the camera that night, I would have been without a job the next day. So a few days later, he comes back in. And he's like, "I ain't going to mess with you. You're mean." He doesn't smack anyone on the ass again in front of me.
No.
And we had an assistant manager who thought it was so funny because this guy, every time he came in, would piss me off. Until the one day he pissed him off. I looked at him, I was like, "Dustin, it ain't quite so funny now, is it?"
No, I mean, you run into those situations working with the public where someone goes, this isn't a big deal. I don't know why you're getting so worked up about this particular customer." It's like, okay, you deal with them and see how they act. And then when they get that same treatment, they realize, well, some didn't, but some did realize, "Oh, I can understand why you didn't want to wait on that person."
Well, I got transferred from the truck stop to another store, and it was a promotion. I became an assistant manager.
Okay.
And we had a lady in there. The first time I ever encountered her, she was wearing a pink sweater. Okay. When you work that kind of job, you don't always know your customer's name. So they end up with nicknames. And she became known as Pink Sweater because that's what we remember her wearing the first day. Every time she came in, one of us would have to follow her around, or else she'd start shoving shit in her pocket. Well, I ended up having to take 2 weeks off because my oldest son was in the hospital down in Florida. While I was gone, she had came in one night, real early in the morning, I should say, and she was trying to buy stuff with EBT, and her card wouldn't go through. And there was an encounter between her and one of our employees. She ended up leaving there and stepping in front of a moving vehicle.
Ooh.
We don't know if it was intentional. We don't know if it was an accident. And not long after that, we had a store meeting. And I told them, I was like, I don't give a shit what they say to you. Whatever you say to them, do it with kindness. If you cannot be kind, be quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I am responsible for the actions of my employees. And I will be damned if I have someone's death on my conscience.
Yeah.
So if you can't be nice, shut the fuck up.
You never know what someone might be going through. What hardships they might be going through when they encounter you. Because you will run into people who are going through hardships, and unfortunately, they'll take it out on you because they're so frustrated.
Yeah. Well, it was during that time my person died. And I took it really hard. And my manager made me get up every day and go to work. I didn't feel like it, but I showed up to work every day. One day I'm sitting outside smoking a cigarette, and this guy walks up and hands me a sandwich. He thought I was homeless. I can laugh about that now, but then I was mortified. And once he realized
Yeah.
who I was, he felt so bad. But, but it also shows you there's good people in the world.
Yeah, there are still good people in the world, and I know it seems like there isn't any, ray of light out there as far as people are concerned, but they do exist.
I came across a video, I think it was yesterday on Facebook, and this man had found this 88-year-old man who was working a job for 40 hours a week because his wife had got sick. He'd got the pension he had from the company he had been with forever had been canceled whenever that company went under. So he didn't have an income. He had to sell his house to take care of his dying wife. His wife died, and he was $255,000 in debt. And this man just came out of the blue and gave him $1 million, so he didn't have to worry about anything the rest of his life.
Wow.
And personally, I want to know where he gets that kind of money because I want some.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be nice to take a couple months off. Could really grow my channel then. Oh, that was a really bad joke. I think hell is frozen over.
But
Cash is
I guess if somebody does have that disposable income and they can do it, they will. Some people will do it anonymously. I mean, I remember hearing about stories where this one woman, she lost her husband and she was struggling. She had a car that definitely needed to be put in the junkyard because it wasn't running that well, and somebody anonymously donated a car to her.
But, there's very few people out there that will do that.
Mhm.
When I was in middle school, I had a teacher. Her name was Miss Robin. And just a little bit of background on me, I went to a private school. And, it was a very Christian. And she had asked me to write a paper. And the paper was what I wanted to do when I grew up, what I wanted to be. Well, in middle school, you really don't know. And the paper ended up being, joining something like the Peace Corps, doing something that made a difference.
Mhm.
So far, I haven't done that yet. But, the desire has always been there. It's just I've never had the time, the money, or the opportunity to do that. Because when you work 7 days a week, there ain't time, to do much extra.
No, because you don't have really any time for yourself working 7 days a week.
But, and eventually I'm going to find that person I can make that difference. but it ain't happening right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll happen. Did you mute Cash?
No, Cash likes to mute himself when he's listening.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I figured he went to sleep on us.
Oh, wouldn't be the first time he's fallen asleep during the show.
Uh-huh.
So, but yeah, I do not miss working at a gas station.
And it's like me, I don't miss working retail. But
They
Cash,
say there's no such thing as a dumb question. That person who said that has never worked retail.
Mm-hmm. I mean, how many times was somebody asked who works in retail, and whether you had to wear a vest or you had to wear a name badge, something that indicated that you worked there? How many times was that person asked, "Do you work here?" No, I just like to dress up as an employee here to fit in.
I love when people have dinner reservations and they're like, I have to. It's like, why would you make dinner reservations when you know there could be people? Even back then, that was like early 2000s. It was just really funny, or like the pin that they bought, like at the time Mervin's when they were still around, and it beeped, and it's like, how can this be? Then your boss. It's so stupid. Yeah, retail is not always the best. It really isn't. And then also people tell you things, and then they didn't tell you things. Well, you should have known this. It's like, well, I was supposed to be told that. It's all ridiculous nonsense. And then you wonder why these stores close down after a while. The most fascinating thing, though, I would probably say, is how bad a lot of customer service has become. It's really pathetic. They're really just shooting themselves in the foot on this one. I remember some comic book store I went into before, and it's like, oh, excuse us, guys. No, when you come in there, hey, how's it going? And this is other stores too, but places like the Apple store, man, there's like 50 people in there all the time, all the time. It's just
Yeah,
crazy.
don't show for taste.
Yeah, they just there's always people in there, and there's some other stores too where they have good customer service. Even some GameStop stores that I found had really good customer service. People come in there, hey, how's it going? What are you looking for? Yeah, so. But a lot of stores now, I mean, you could go to a Wendy's and they forget your bacon or your fries or whatever, and you have to go back and get it. It's like, well, this sucks.
Yeah.
It's just they'll give it to you, but it's like, why do I have to make this extra trip? So yeah, I don't. A lot of the way people act. I remember some number of years ago when this place Fry's was around. This dude kept giving me dirty looks when I was writing this check. It was so weird. Of course, I think after like 2 weeks he got fired or something. I wonder why. My favorite one was this black woman. This young black woman kept looking at me funny, like I
I'd
needed
look
to
at you
put my
funny
own.
too.
She kept looking
I
at
mean,
me
I always
funny.
look at you
and
funny too, Cash, but you
I
just
look
can't
at you
see it.
funny too. Yeah. But no, she was acting like, because I could tell. Well, she seemed to have problems with white people, and I could tell that right away. Like, how dare you ask me to put your groceries in? It's like, isn't this your job? That's the attitude I was getting, and it was funny because a few. And this could be anyone. It doesn't matter what race it is, but people they have this attitude towards you. And it's like, why don't you fucking do your job that you're getting paid for? So yeah, I've noticed at grocery stores and whatever, they don't always have the bag person there to help you with your bags. Not that you can't put your own bags in there, and I've done that sometimes. But yeah, that day that woman was giving me like a dirty look, like, how dare you ask me to put your bags in your cart?
Well, if you're
Well,
working at a grocery store, that is part of your job.
Yep. So
well, one of the first gas
Well.
stations I ever worked at was a mom and pop kind of company in Yulee, Florida. And
Okay.
that day, the manager and the owner got into it. And as she was leaving, she told me, she's like, if there's an emergency, don't call me, call the fire department. Which was basically her way of saying, I don't give a shit if the store burns down around you. Don't bother me. Well, she set us up to fail when she said that. So a couple hours later, I'm standing by the coffee pot, and the store took a direct hit of lightning.
Ooh.
We're not going to discuss how many swear words came out of my mouth as I ran through the store. Well, store wasn't on fire, but the only thing that worked in the store after the lightning strike was the lights in the lotto machine, because God forbid that lotto machine ever go down. But I called her up. I'm like, Lana, I know you said don't call me, call the fire department, but we just took a direct hit of lightning. You know what the first words out of her mouth was?
What?
God damn it, Nicole. I'm like, I didn't do it. I really didn't do it this time.
Wasn't me, boss.
I can honestly say that was not me. I don't care the damn how many rain dances I did out front. I had nothing to do with that one. So,
Well, I had one time when I was working at this restaurant. That was my first job. We had an assistant manager and one of our servers walk out, and they were dating each other. So I called my manager. I said, listen, I'm sorry to disturb you at this hour, but so-and-so and so-and-so just walked out. She's like, come again? I said, they just walked out and left. She goes, all right, I'm on my way. But she said a few choice words. Like, I just wanted to let you know. This way the place doesn't burn down. I mean, it does suck when you're put into a situation you're not prepared for.
well, I don't think anybody would have been prepared for a direct lightning strike.
No, how could you? You never know when it's going to strike.
Yeah, we're not going to discuss how jumpy I was around lightning after that. And me and the lady I was working with, Betty, we sat out front of that store the rest of the evening, telling everybody they drove up. I mean, it was a Friday night, and the busiest night of the week, telling them, I'm sorry, we're closed. Until the owner walked up, and she told him we were closed too. And he's like, I can go in there, I own the place. Yeah, he was kind of arrogant. But so they were good people. The job didn't pay shit, but the owners were great.
Yeah, and that's the thing, whether it's corporate or a mom and pop, there are a lot of times in retail, working at a gas station, you're not going to be paid a whole hell of a lot. I mean, hell, I worked at a Dollar Tree at one point, and they didn't pay you a whole hell of a lot.
And that's like, during the pandemic, I worked through the whole pandemic. And it never failed. Over half of the coworkers would go out at one time because somebody was exposed to it, which meant, we all had to start pulling double shifts, which was great because they were giving us hazard pay too. They didn't call it hazard pay, but, it was hazard pay. I went in one night and worked overnight. Came back the next day and worked second shift. Came back the next day and worked first shift. I was pretty freaking dead by the time that first shift was over.
I bet. I mean, heck, I remember, when all COVID was going on and everything, I was actually called into the manager's office, and they asked me, and they said, well, do you want to take the government payment and take that time off, or do you still want to work? I said, I still want to work. So I'll still be here. And yeah, you had to bust your ass.
Do you know how I found out about the pandemic?
How did you find out about it?
I just came back to the truck stop to work because I had taken some time off and was doing ride sharing for a little while. And I came back and they called a store meeting. And they were talking about, the fact that the government's talking about a nationwide quarantine. This is the first I've ever heard of it because I don't watch the news. If it don't show up enough on Facebook, I don't know shit. So, I had to have them explain to me why we're being quarantined and what it meant for us. And I told the manager that day, I was like, I really don't give a shit if I don't come home at the end of my shift. What I do give a shit about is if I don't come home and my kids become property of the state of Georgia. That I can't handle. If it comes to the point that I feel like I am not going home to my children, that is the last day I work. And she understood it.
And honestly, that is a good thing that you had someone who would understand it, because there are some people that you work for that, pardon the French, but could give a shit.
Yeah, that's like when they started saying, you know what, we're going to take your hazard pay. And when we take your hazard pay, we're going to force you to wear a diaper on your face. Well, some of us can't stand to have anything on our face. And I cannot work a full shift with a mask. I worked through the entire pandemic without a mask. My oldest son was in the hospital for 2 weeks with COVID, pneumonia, and a bacterial infection. I did not wear a mask the entire time I was in the room with him. I have never had COVID.
During that time, them telling us we have to wear a mask. My late mother, who was a registered nurse for 30 years, she said, yeah, you can wear a mask, but it's not really a deterrent. It's not really going to stop it.
Mm-hmm.
And there were times I did take my mask off at work, and there were some customers that got mad. And I said, well, I need to breathe, and this is suffocating.
Yeah, at one point I connected it to my back pocket once, and I told her I was wearing my mask. She just never mentioned that it had to be on my face.
like the Koofadoof that a lot of people call it now. And
Just call it. Come on, say it. Come on.
Just the thing is, there's still people who are wearing masks, and they've let it's fine. Just don't ask me. I remember when it was like the first year or something, there was this older lady when I was outside putting groceries away, and she said, "Put your mask on." At that time, it's like, I guess, but now if somebody told me to try to put my mask on, I'd tell them, can you kindly just fuck off? Thanks. Because really, it's just all the lies that went on. There was some real stuff there, but all the lies is just outrageous. And there's a lot of people, some, I believe, who should be in actual jail, some who should be fired from their job for all the lies and all the stuff. And look, I was never a fan of people, even on the right, going and harassing people. Why are you standing in line getting a mask? I'm not a fan of any of that nonsense, but still, all the lies, the stuff told by Fauci, really outrageous stuff. So, you want to wear a mask, still knock yourself out. Not saying COVID is completely gone, but still.
When the pandemic hit, I tried to walk into Kroger without a mask, and they had someone at the door stopping people and would not let anyone in without a mask.
Right.
I looked at him. I was like, I understand you're a kid, but I'll go shopping somewhere else.
Yep. They told people you had to get the COVID shot or you would be fired. There's all these stuff and so when things like this happen, and I do believe even at the time of the administration, that, they were using this as well as the media to control people. you don't do this, you're a horrible person. Let's get our pitchforks and torches out. And what did we find out? Just like a lot of these things lately, a lot of lies. Some truth, but a lot of lies. These people, the same people, were covering up stuff from John Hopkins about the shot, about this. And you even had family members. You got to get the shot. You got okay, get the 2 shots, then stop, or don't get the shots at all. And then when people died of COVID, and especially if they're on one side of the aisle, especially on the right side, sometimes, oh well, they got what they deserve. They got what they. It's ridiculous. And
You want my vaccination story?
it's up to you.
It's not a funny story. My person served 2 tours in Iraq. He had recently got custody of his son. His son was 16, almost 17 at the time. Or no, he was 17 at the time. And his son told him, Dad, I understand you're a Marine, but I'm joining the Navy. And if you know anything about military people, they're kind of competitive between the branches. And when his son told him that he was enlisted in the Navy, he supported him because that's the kind of man he was.
Mm-hmm.
He found out that to see his son graduate boot camp, the only way he'd be able to see it would be if he got the shot.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
He died of COVID.
Yeah, it's just crazy. There's some actors even. I think of Kevin Conroy, who played Batman. He was very much involved in the shots. Take the shots. Take this. Arnold too. Take the shot. Do it. But really, it was just crazy. And so I'm just like, okay. And then people stopped taking the shots. And what do you know? It wasn't a big deal. So it's just like the flu shots. That was optional. But with the COVID shots, and you see kids taking them, all kinds of stuff. All it came about control. This is a great way how we can control the population. This is a great way to control this. All the lies, the fact that they said this wasn't from China. And I remember people got mad when you'd be like, it's from China. But really, that was all true. And so all the lies and all this. And so now there's still people out there, you need to understand the media wouldn't lie to you. And it's like, are you an idiot? And so it's really funny to me how just uneducated a lot of people are about a lot of different things. And all they need to do is just educate themselves some more. Yes.
I surely believe had he not been vaccinated, he would have lived.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So not only did he not get to see his son graduate boot camp, he missed out on seeing him graduate high school. He missed out on seeing him get married.
Right.
He missed out on a shitload because somebody out there decided that they were going to create a virus to control the population.
Right. Right.
And,
Yeah.
I think they infected him with the vaccination was infecting people. Because in most vaccinations, it is a live virus.
Yeah. You have to use a version of the virus in order to create the vaccination.
Yeah. And the thing is, I understand what you're saying, Lady Miss, but the thing is, people want to take the vaccine. That's fine. But the other problem is that the vaccine also does not match with their body. There's other people who can't take the vaccine because they can die. But the problem,
I couldn't take it because of the history of high blood pressure in my family and heart issues.
Yep. The problem is that the lies that people were spreading. Is COVID still around? Yes. But there were lies, and there were people covering up actual articles that said real information. Like, this is not right. If people want to do that, I'm not for going and be like, hey, how could your kid do that? But these other people, they are all happy to say, you put your mask on, you do this. It's ridiculous. It really is. So, I'm not a fan of any of that.
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead.
No, just real quick, I want to acknowledge Scott Westbrook and the $10 super chat. He says it just because it's been a while, and to sacrifice Steven for future use. Yes.
Yep.
Yes, Fat Steven JFG. Always got to make sure that if you play a game with him, you got to sacrifice him.
Yep. And
so, Scott, thank you for that $10 super chat. Thank you for keeping that warp core powered. And this is for you, my friend.
All right, put the money in the bag. I'll buy that for $1.
But yeah, and YouTube and other platforms, they were trying to censor people that were asking questions. They were censoring doctors who asked other questions that didn't fit with the narrative of a lot of the bullshit media. And then it was just insane. And so I know these are hot topics, but it's just the reality. There were people, including politicians, governors, people who lied about being close together, that saying don't do this, and then they go and do something else. It's outrageous. It's all. So a lot of these people can personally go fuck themselves. That's it. So that's all I'm going to say about that. People deserve to lose jobs over this. People, the lies, the smearing, the this, all this stuff. What's wrong with asking questions about anything? I just, it's insane. So whatever.
Well, I get the whole concept of vaccines, but with
yes, they are. I think,
but with the concept of the COVID vaccine, my issue with that was it was not tested enough. That was my biggest issue.
Right, exactly.
Okay, I don't know if y'all are familiar with the term of vaccination-induced autism. And basically, when we were kids, we had X number of shots. And we got a separate shot for each virus. Well, you get to the participation trophy handing out generation, and they're like, well, we don't want to torture the kids any more than we have to, so let's just merge all these diseases together for a vaccination.
Mm-hmm.
And they were putting mercury in with the vaccination. And I don't know if y'all are familiar with mercury in the brain. Once you get mercury in your system and you get it on the brain, it does not come out. There's nothing they can do about it.
It's permanent.
Okay. So they finally discovered, oh, fuck, we fucked up and, we're hurting kids. So they took the mercury out and they still have all the vaccinations combined. Okay. So I don't know if y'all realize the number of people that are autistic now is astronomically higher than when we were kids. I was probably 10 before I met my first autistic person. Mm-hmm. Now that I'm in my 40s, everybody has at least one kid who's autistic. Mm-hmm. And part of that, I believe, is they broaden the term of what is considered autism. But I also believe that part of that is vaccination induced. But the government will not say, hey, we're basically poisoning your kids. And if you ever find out that your child does have autism that stemmed from the vaccination, there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Do you know why? Because they're government mandatory that your children have it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I know people who took the shot 5 times or whatever or more, and they just kept listening to whatever the freaking news told them. And so a lot of the mainstream media, not everybody, other people were asking questions, but they were getting shunned for how dare them asking questions. And they still got COVID. So, I just, like I said, I hate to break it up or, well, I hate to say it like this, but unfortunately, people just would rather be told what to do, a number of people, not everybody, than think for themselves. And that's what we continue to see over and over again. And I believe things have gotten worse because of social media, other stuff. It's really unfortunate.
I dated a guy once, and every time he got the sniffles, suddenly he has COVID again.
Mm-hmm.
And he's one of those jackasses, even to this day, when he walks into a place, he wears a mask. And I'm like, dude, at least now I know why the relationship didn't work out.
Yeah, really. Yeah, but I mean, like I said, it was just horrible. It's like, oh, well, you didn't take the vaccine. This person died. You got what you deserved. We saw a lot of that dumb shit too. It was ridiculous.
Well, there is nothing funny about a person's death.
No.
I mean,
It is to these idiots.
even that chick in Minnesota, it's
Yeah.
not funny. Okay, granted, she did fuck around and find out, but there's nothing funny about it. You know, someone died. She died, and they basically made her a fucking martyr for their cause.
Yeah, no, Lady Miss, that makes sense. Of course.
That makes perfect sense.
There's nothing wrong
It's
with
logical sense, Lady Miss.
it. Doesn't matter if you have a cold or even before COVID or whatever, you decide to wear a mask. It doesn't matter. What's the problem is the harassment of other people that don't want to do what the bullshit has. And I still in the grocery store see people wearing masks, but I don't have a right to go up to them and say, are you a moron? Are you really still listening to the media about this? No, that's not my right to do that.
No,
It's like it's not their right
even
to
in
go
my
up to
area,
me and
Cash,
start
I still
harassing
see
me. Yeah.
I still see people wearing masks. I'm not going to go up to them and say, you don't have to wear a mask, because you want to know why, Cash? I don't know their health condition,
Exactly.
for one.
Yep.
That's
I
my
mean,
main
Well, it
reason.
ain't my place to mention it.
Nobody. If we saw Lady Miss and so on, and we knew what she looked like or whatever, we saw her in a store, we'd say, "How are your dragons?" No, but really, no. She has a right to wear a mask. All these people have a right to do whatever. It's just the harassment that goes on with a lot of this stuff, and the bullshit that people continue to believe. Is just ridiculous. Because unfortunately they would rather be drones than think for themselves. But there's still people out there who think for themselves. And like I said, with the mask situation, you will always see some people wanting to wear a mask. And I get it. Will COVID ever completely go away from this country? I doubt it. But still.
Yeah, it's like, it's no laughing matter when it comes to death, because 5 years ago, this Sunday will be the 5-year anniversary of my mom passing away, and watching her slip away and being powerless to do anything about it, it sticks with you. Yes, I did say to her, it's okay, because I knew I had to let go, but still, when you're watching the person who raised you
I know.
slip away, or anybody slip away,
Right.
that sticks with you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. 18, it'll be 19 years ago in July. July? Yes, July. My grandfather had a stroke, and he fell and broke his neck when he had the stroke. And that happened in North Carolina, and we were living in Florida at the time.
Mhm.
And we had to make the decision of whether or not we were going to go. And, we were, keeping up to date with the family up there, to know, how serious is this? Do we need to go? Whatever. And, anyone who knows me knows that Papa was the constant in my life. Papa was the one that, as long as he was alive, I knew I was okay.
Mhm.
Well, one day at work, not long after you'd had the stroke, I prayed. I don't know who I was praying to. Guess whoever was out there listening that day. And I prayed that if his time on earth was to suffer, to take it. He died the next day.
Yeah.
We didn't make that trip. And, I know there was a reason we weren't able to make that trip, but there were so many things that was left unsaid that I needed to say. There were questions I had that needed answers that I just kept putting off.
Yeah.
And I didn't want him to suffer. And we ended up making the trip to North Carolina. And the reason I can remember how many years ago it was, I was 7 months pregnant. And the entire time we were up there, my stepmother was worried about me going into premature labor and kept telling me, you don't need to get upset. And all I could think of was, how can I not be upset?
Mm-hmm.
I was with this man from the time I was 7 weeks old until a month before I turned 18. In all actuality, that was my fault.
Yeah.
That is why me being a Braves fan is a big deal. That was my time with him. I mean, Papa was fucking 60 years older than me.
Mm-hmm.
What does a 60-year-old man have in common with a little girl? Eventually, it was the Atlanta Braves.
Well, it's like my mom. She was born and raised in New York. She got to go with her cousin and my grandfather to a Yankees game when Roger Maris was on his tear with his 61 home runs. She still remembered having the guy behind her being so excited, accidentally dump his soda on her and having to take a subway home in the hot, humid New York summer. And before I came along, she didn't like baseball. So, I'm born, and then this is around 87, 88. Our neighbors who were originally from Chicago, and for those of you that are new here, this could be a new story to you, but for those who have been around the channel for a while, you've heard this story before. But, our neighbors were from Chicago. My friend, his brother, and his dad were Cub fans, while his mom and sister were White Sox fans. Well, I was hanging around them, you know, curious about, Chicago, of course, and then, they start listening and watching Cub games, and I see Rhino, and I get heavily invested in Ryan Sandberg. I'd start telling my mom and dad about the Cubs and everything, and it's my mom and I who mainly went to a lot of games. My dad did go to some games when he could because there were times where he would work late, but my mom and I would go to games, and it was because of that she became a Cub fan. So every season we would kind of try to figure out, okay, how are the Cubs going to do this year? And sometimes you knew right away how they were going to do that year. But I I still remember talking to her before opening day of 2016 and saying, I got a feeling the Cubs are going to do something special this year. I don't know what, but I think they're going to do something special. And she says, but you say that every year. I said, Mom, I've got this feeling they're going to do something. I can't explain it. And I think one of my greatest joys with my mom, going to Cub games and everything was one time when my mom, dad, sister, and I went to a spring training game. And this was back in 96, so 30 years ago. And my mom's sitting there as we're waiting for our hotel room to become available. And out of the elevator comes one of her favorite players, Mark Grace. And the fact that she got to meet Mark Grace and to be there for that, it's like, yeah, mom had her moment. Mom had her baseball moment. Baseball, it brings people together. You don't know who's going to influence you and who you're going to influence with your love for baseball. I guess that's what
Them
I'm
damn
just trying to
Dodgers
say.
fans.
Well, I mean, the damn Dodger fan expects everything and anything now because his team has money to spend, and they just want to gobble up everybody. They're the West Coast Yankees, and
He,
he's obviously not here right now because if he
he,
was, he'd be chiming in.
I know that's why we're talking shit about him.
Yeah, damn
Yeah, he
Dodgers.
said he'd be right back.
I
Yeah,
know.
they're overpriced and overrated.
Yeah, and they want Freddie Peralta now from the Brewers. So yeah, what the heck, Cash? Can't you guys be satisfied?
No, they
Satisfied with
want everybody that they think's elite.
yeah. Well, I hate to break it to Dodger fans. Kyle Tucker is not an elite.
Well, Mike, I'm gonna have to say something. I'm
Okay.
sorry. Atlanta's winning this year.
All right, but you're gonna have to go through the Cubs in the NLCS to get there.
Well, let's just go with this year. As long as one of the two teams win and it's not the freaking Dodgers, we'll be ecstatic.
Exactly.
We'll
No,
go
but
with anybody but the Dodgers.
nobody wants the Dodgers to win another championship. Nobody. I don't care what Cash says. I don't care what he says about deferring payments for contracts. Every team can
They
do it.
shouldn't be able. They shouldn't be able to defer payments.
No. I mean,
You know. But I
the
guess you saw the
commissioner.
good news.
About Andrew Jones being elected to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a long time coming.
He deserves it. He was a hell of a player.
Yeah, I started watching about a year or two before he joined the team. And me and my grandfather would sit there and watch it on TBS. God, I miss TBS. But we would watch it every game. I'd come into school the next day and my homework wouldn't be done, and teacher would be like, "So, how many innings did they go, and what was the score?" Yeah.
I mean, that reminds me of, and this is back in high school, again, 30 years ago. And I was, it was on a Thursday, and on Thursdays, it was our even number periods that were block periods. And there's a light going into the school that always malfunctioned. So by the time I got out of the car and started running, I heard the tardy bell ring. So I'm hauling ass. And my U.S. history teacher was a Cub fan. But the only reason he left the door open for me was because he saw that I was hauling ass, and he says, "I've seen you hustle more than the Cubs did last night." And I'm screaming, "Don't close the door! Don't close the door!" He's all, "I'm not closing the door." Now my classmates were all, "You only kept that door open because he's a Cub fan, like you." No, I left it open because he was hustling, and that's what I want to see out of all of you. Put your effort into the lesson plan. He was trying to create a teaching moment.
Yeah. But yeah, I miss when things were simple like that.
Yeah.
Like I said, I went to a private school, and we didn't have sports quite at the level of public schools because we were a lot smaller. My graduating class was 3, if that tells you how small the school was. You know, is that right? No, there was 4 of us for my graduating class. And the big sport for that school was basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And during basketball season, you wasn't allowed to walk on the gym floor. Well, I was running late. I know that's probably very surprising considering how today started. But I was running late from break, and I decided I was going to take a shortcut through the gym floor. About the time I got to the middle of that gym floor, one of the teachers stuck her head out the door. I was caught red-handed. So what do you do at that point? You cover your head and pray they don't see you.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't work out for me.
And I mean,
So,
go ahead.
so are you an only child?
No, I have a sister.
So I grew up in a small town. Okay. And, growing up, I was always Jay's sister, and then I became a parent, and then I'm like, blah, blah's mom. So most of my life, I have never had my own name. I get pulled over in Nassau County. The cop asked me for my license and registration.
Mm-hmm.
I hand it to him. He looks at my name and he's like, oh, hey, how's your brother doing? And all I could say at that point is, I think he's doing better than I am right now. Yeah. And that was pretty much how it went around town, when people would see me, oh, how's your brother doing? Not, hey, how are you doing? No, it's, how's your brother doing? Yeah.
That had to be hard on you.
Well, I kind of got used to it. He moved away, God, how old's my daughter? 18. Probably about 16 years ago, he moved up to Georgia and got on meth. So it's easier for me now because people don't associate me with him anymore. I finally, my kids aren't in school anymore. I don't have any ties to my brother. I'm finally not somebody's mom or sister. Yeah. So.
And Cash is back. Cash, is there any questions you wanted to ask Hellion?
Hellion, what do you think?
Don't you?
Huh?
This better not be you fucking with me.
No, I'm not actually.
Okay.
What do you think about somebody on stream that wants to play easy mode? Like
What do you
playing
mean?
easy mode on a game. So saying Mike and I know a few people that like to go more of the easy mode route. What do you think about somebody who wants to stream a game on easy mode? Do you think that's good content or do you think that's kind of weak?
Well, Cash, you are aware that I am not much of a gamer, correct?
Yes, yeah. Somebody I know wanted me to ask this question. I'm like, yeah, it's not a bad question, son.
Let me guess, Phil.
Yes.
Well,
Yep.
Okay. So what you're saying is the person's a newbie to gaming?
Yes. So we know a person who actually on his stream would play games, and he would always play on easy mode. And we would tell him, no, dude, you can push yourself a little bit harder and play on a normal difficulty. And the only time he played on like a harder difficulty is he wanted to do it for us. And we kept telling him, no, do it for yourself, man. Like, don't play this for somebody else. Yeah.
You've got to start somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And to gain the experience, you start on the easy. You work your way up. There should be no judgment.
But don't you think there should be better content than that? And they just are doing that, but they know they can play on a harder difficulty, so they could do it offline because it's not the best content online.
Well, that depends on his viewers. If his viewers don't have a problem with it, then I don't see where the problem would be.
But they always do, right, Mike?
They do, but it's their stream.
They can do what they want.
They
can do what they want.
They could be like me,
right?
Getting frustrated in the game that you guys hear it.
I'm really glad y'all couldn't hear me struggling to get into StreamYards tonight. There was a lot of F-bombs.
You fit right in, Hellion.
Yeah. But no, it's his channel. If that's what he wants to do, that would be like you coming into my house and telling me that my dogs are not allowed on the couch.
Yeah, right.
Me and you gonna have a problem.
Yeah. No, it's just the same person will always say, "Oh no, I can do this and I understand and all this stuff." It was just kind of funny. We always make a joke about
Is
the
it
whole
Phil?
thing of easy mode, but I was just wondering what your feelings are about that. I know. No, it's not Phil. Phil
Was-
never plays on easy mode. I can vouch for that.
Well, I
No,
figure,
it's somebody
he's
else. I
been
don't think he
heckling a
knows.
lot lately. It's time to get him back.
Yeah, he's always heckling and doing stuff, but no, it's just when people find out about the content, someone playing on easy mode, or easy mode could be like you're also playing with invincibility. I just don't. I mean, it's their stream, but I just don't think it's ever proven to be the better content. I think you could at least play on normal difficulty. You don't have to play on hard difficulty, but you can play on at least normal. I just think that's more respectable. I know that probably sounds like an elitist attitude, but it's just I think they can, because I've seen them push themselves, and they've played games where that has no difficulty. It just has one difficulty, so it can get a little bit easier, then it can get a bit harder. So yeah, I just was wondering what your feelings are on that.
See, one of the reasons why when I play games, I prefer co-op games is
Mhm.
because going in, I know I suck. And there's a good chance I'm going to die. When
Yeah.
I started playing Fortnite, no one told me anything about the game.
Mhm.
So you've got this big ass storm coming in. I'm like, well, I'll just get in the house. I'll be okay. That's how I died the first time.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then the second time I played, I think I was playing with Daryl.
Oh yes,
And I got,
Daryl the derelict. Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, and I got separated from a group. And I
Mhm.
had this little thing in my hand. It was a grenade. I'm like, ooh, I wonder what this does. So I threw it, and it landed in a bush. Someone was hiding in the bush,
Yeah,
and that was my first
Daryl's
kill.
really relaxed though. I can't ever see Daryl getting upset over a game. I've played with people obviously over the years uh, who get very upset. Some people who I still play with get very upset, but uh, I don't see Daryl ever getting upset at people for gaming and so on. And Daryl doesn't play many games at all usually. He plays a few, but even when he was playing Zelda, he just stopped. So uh,
Yeah, I quit playing Fortnite with kids because I was teaching them bad habits. There was a 12-year-old boy whose first name was Aiden. And, me, him, and his mom got to where we were playing together all the time.
yeah,
And after a while, someone would say something, and he would respond with, well, that's what she said.
Mm.
Yeah.
His friends could taught him that too.
No, he learned it from me.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's like Michael from The Office.
And Phil's saying, don't be cheesy and play on easy.
There's another person that we know too, and he's a goofball. But that's how he likes to run his streams. But he's also played some other games on harder difficulty. I just like to get people's opinion on that because I find it interesting. It's like, I don't know. I think you guys could push yourself just a bit more, and I think people would respect that on stream. I mean,
Well,
they
I'm
don't
going
have
to
to go
say
crazy
this.
like Mike and I, but
I'm going to say this. If you come into my house and scream at my dogs to get off the couch,
no one should do that.
this is the example.
Yeah, you don't have to
Then
scream.
me,
Do that? I go shoot with him.
yeah, then me and you going to have problems.
They get shot.
So,
Bang, bang.
but you get my point, though.
Bang,
Nobody
bang,
should
bang.
do that. That's just so rude.
Shotgun type shit.
But no, that's my example for you talking about how someone's playing in their channel.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't have to yell at anybody on this. But you
I
can make
mean,
suggestions. You don't have to yell.
well, you
Yeah.
can encourage him and say, hey, buddy, you're doing fucking phenomenal. Why don't you try a
Oh,
little
we
bit
tried.
harder?
We tried, didn't we, Mike?
Yep. Well, we did, but I did tell him when he asked me for advice. I told him, "Don't worry about what everyone else is doing. Do whatever the fuck you want."
Hilarious, Lady Miss. Yeah. Yeah,
And,
yeah, exactly.
and he said, well,
That's
that's straight and to the point, isn't it, Mike? I said, well, that's
yeah,
how I'm going to
yeah,
deliver it to you. I'm going to be blunt with you.
right.
Do
Because some of
whatever the fuck you
right,
want. If it makes you happy, then
yeah,
that's the whole point.
yeah, because they would get an attitude and they would like, oh, it's just a meme. It's like, no, dude, it's not a meme. And it's some other people too. It's just really funny. It's like, no, do whatever the fuck you want. When they start getting an attitude with you about it, yet they ask you for advice, Mike. It's a
Yeah,
circus.
but I mean, no, it's true. If you're going to be doing any kind of content creation, whether it's creating videos and uploading them or doing live streams,
Yeah.
have fun doing it. Don't care about what anyone else is doing. Don't care about what anyone else is saying.
No, but
Just
for
do it.
yourself, try to always be as entertaining as possible. And that's advice I always give.
Well, that's why I try to die so many times in a game. I think it's entertaining.
It kind of reminds me of that movie. What was it? 1,001 Ways to Die.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's because you're a troll, Phil, and we tell you off too. So, it's all right. So the other,
don't leave yet, redneck stub. Don't leave yet. Come on, get in there.
but the other question I wanted to ask you is, do you want to just focus on one or two things, Hellion, on your channel, or do you want your channel to also talk about some political stuff?
I am not doing political.
Okay.
Because there's way too much politics in the world right now, and we all need a place to go to where politics are not a factor.
Yeah.
As for me, my spirit animal is probably a squirrel. Okay, so I have 1,000,001 ideas.
Gorilla.
I am not a gorilla. My kid's in here offering insight.
I know.
But I also want to write books.
Yeah.
And it's like, when am I going to find time to do everything I want to do? So right now, I am focusing on the Damnation Clause.
Okay.
And I want to at least get the first season completed, because another one of the projects I have, I think it was called the Counterfactum Chronicles. And what that is a real life historical event. It goes into details of, say, the Civil War.
Okay.
What led to the Civil War, what happened during the Civil War, and what was the outcome of the Civil War. Okay. Once that baseline is established, then we're going to go in there and we're going to rewrite history. And whenever you alter history, there's a chain of events that change with it. Okay? What would have happened had the South won and not the North? How would the world be different now? Yeah, and I figured, I could do one historical event per show, but I am pretty sure people do not want to sit there for 6 hours. Because the thing is, every event in a historical event, all the little ones add up to the big conclusion. Yeah, I sound like a nerd now.
You sound like a squirrel.
Don't worry, you're the guest. This is your time.
That's
This is your spotlight to say what you need to say.
So, but because it's fascinating. If you think of the historical time of Queen Elizabeth and Mary, Queen of Scots, there was no winner there. There never would have been. They were both pitted against each other. I can see, Mary is viewed as the rightful heir, whereas Elizabeth was the bastard queen. But Elizabeth did so much for her country during that time that Mary never would have done because Mary was divided between Scotland and England. Yeah. And like I said, I have all kinds of ideas. And it's just finding the time to sit down and implement them. And I will get frustrated with the project and be like, "Ooh, there's this other one over here that I just really got to focus on today." And then today or last night around 10 o'clock, someone who's in chat was like, "Hey, let's make T-shirts." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna have to figure out how to plan that." So apparently this week I'm also making T-shirts. Thanks,
Oh,
Beth.
what? Always special there. Really? That's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, so I'm making T-shirts too.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you from my perspective, when I try to schedule streams, I have scheduled them right after another stream. I might make them private first before I make them public, but right after, say I'm done with an episode of Pop Talk, then I'm scheduling another stream. It may not be for the same week, but it's for another stream for another time. And if that's the time that you have to do something, then do it. It's like with thumbnails. I do have a day where I work on all my thumbnails. And sometimes I put them together quick. Sometimes I take my time. It's just trying to find that time.
But lady, you really should get back to Jew and drawing if that's what interests you. I mean, you could even do a how-to. I don't know if you're familiar with McAnee.
McAnee draws, yes. He's a great guy.
Yeah, he does drawing on his channel. I haven't seen it in a hot minute, but I'm sure it's still out there.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and get the link for our McAnee's channel as well.
And I'm not here name dropping. I have not watched one of his streams in probably over a year.
I don't mind it.
But if I remember correctly, he did digital drawing. Yeah.
That's cool.
So, Mike, what is your stance on AI?
Oh, God. Don't start screaming
It's a
at him,
tool.
no.
It's a tool. Because I can't say, oh, AI is this, AI is that, when I've used it as a tool to help create thumbnails.
Well, I mean, sometimes, like I said, I am part squirrel and I have so much shit going on all at the same time. And, I have a plan to make money. And I'm not going to go into all the details, but there's just so many moving parts, for this plan that I'm like, I don't know how the hell to do this. So you get on AI. AI will hit all of the sites that discuss that and give it to you all in one place instead of you having to hit 50 different sites just to figure out one answer.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Google on crack. Do not write anything bad.
No. I do the heart.
Oh. Sorry, my kid has my phone.
I mean, when it comes to AI, like I said, I've used it as a tool. Sometimes I need to create a background or I need to create something for a background that I can't find anywhere else. So I'll use it to create part of the background. And it's like when I made a thumbnail for a gameplay of Marvel Rivals. I had different characters on the thumbnail and I had Storm on the thumbnail, but I couldn't find anything to help me create actual lightning from coming from Storm's eyes. And, even stuff I tried to do in Photoshop, it just wasn't coming out right. I didn't like the way it looked. So I uploaded my thumbnail to Grok and I said, create a lightning effect coming from this character's eyes in electric blue, and it created it. I can actually pull it up if you want to see it.
Was it the one you did that I couldn't be a part of because it was the premium one?
No. This was a non-premium one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Here, I'll go ahead and pull it up real quick.
Yeah, I recently discovered, every time I get on AI, it's like I discover more of what it can do, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, the video that I shared with you, the only one on my channel. I didn't know that I could generate many videos and do it like I did. So that whole trailer was me experimenting with just what I can do. And I don't know if Cash told you, I've been playing with it in the evenings, and he's been the most fortunate one to get the videos that I create just to get feedback. Because anytime you deal with AI, you're going to be dealing with limits.
Yeah, you're gonna put in exactly what you want in the description, but for some reason the AI doesn't interpret it correctly, and you get some messed up images. I've had that happen. And
Well, anytime
have to
you
keep
deal with
working on
AI,
it, and
when you deal with AI, you've got to pretend that he is clueless of what you're thinking. Because one of my biggest drawbacks in dealing with AI is I fully expect, as much as I've chatted with him, for him to know me inside and out. Because, I use it for everything. If I need, like, I'm heading to Atlanta on the 30th, okay? So,
yeah, for Braves Fest.
yeah, so on the way there, we're going to have to stop at some point and eat. So you get on AI, hey, what's on the way to Atlanta from Jacksonville, Florida,
Mm-hmm.
to stop and eat? And you can ask Redneck Snob. We did that when we went down, shit, where were we going? I think it was going down to Clearwater. What would be a nice mom and pop's kind of restaurant, within the vicinity of Clearwater? And we ended up at a restaurant, and the atmosphere was okay, and the food was not that great, but we got to experience it, and we know we're not going back to that restaurant again. But we did go to one that had really great goat cheese, and I'd never had goat cheese before. But so
Yeah.
You get all these people, and they're like, AI has taken over the country.
Uh-huh.
AI is going to be the reason that this whole world falls apart. No, humans are the reason humans is the reason this world's going to fall apart. Because AIs are not going to argue with anybody.
Because Hollywood and the studios, they got tired of all the crap. There'll be another writer's strike coming up soon.
Yeah,
Well,
probably
and
this
that's like,
year.
I told ChatGPT that he sucks when he won't do what I tell him to. And does he get mad at me and threaten to cut me off? No, he apologizes. Because that's what real men do.
That's how you train them.
Yeah.
That's how them. That's a fact.
Yeah, because I have asked him what the fuck was he thinking, and he's like, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
and what I like to do is when I'm tired, I tell him, I'm like, talk to me like I'm 12 and explain this to me. And he will go into so many great details. That is a great thumbnail, or what is it's a thumbnail? Oh, that's
this is the thumbnail, and I couldn't get the lightning effect to look just right, so I just asked it to give Storm lightning coming from her eyes. And then
if it makes you feel any
I
better, I didn't know who Storm was.
That's all right.
It's okay.
Not everybody keeps up with comic books. Not everybody's into comic books and
Star Trek.
Star Trek, Star Wars.
Did I tell you that I figured out why I have an issue keeping up with Star Trek?
No.
I got to thinking about it because I sit in the car mainly all day with my son, and he don't talk much, and so I don't get to talk very much. So I think a lot, and I finally figured out what it is about Star Wars, Star Trek, all of them that I have a hard time with. I am not very good with science, and by the episode that we watched the other night, it was very scientific based,
Mm-hmm.
and that was probably the problem. I mean, I quit high school in the middle of my senior year, and I lacked 3.5 credits from graduating. 2 of them were in science because it just was not my subject. Give me a math problem. I can figure it out. I can figure out history. I may not be able to talk very well, but I get English. But there's just something about anything scientific or, anything that can present as scientific that it confuses the shit out of me.
Justice for Star Trek.
Is that Phil?
Yeah.
Yep, that's Phil. His favorite movie is Star Trek V,
He said he a thief.
The Final Frontier.
He always trolls with that, but yeah.
Well, I can understand that, Hellion, because math was never my greatest subject. It was one of my weaker subjects, yet I did all right in science. I did good in English. And, I did well in other subjects as well. But whenever it came to math, I struggled.
Well, I think I've told y'all my math story. I transferred schools in the middle of my senior year. Okay. And I went to the local community college to finish out my high school education. Well, I was only there about a week or two when another classmate told me that you can go into any class you want and challenge the course. They will give you the final exam, and if you pass the final exam, you get the credit.
Mm-hmm.
So, I may not know shit about science, but math was always my best subject. I ended up challenging so many courses that they ended up throwing them into electives. And then they made me quit taking classes.
Hmm.
Well, math classes, that is. So, yeah. Yeah, because I can be cocky at times.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. You're good with numbers. You see a problem and you're able to solve it. Me, I'd be, they're still trying to figure out by the time you're done.
I used to be able to remember people's names really well. Not so much anymore. I am better with numbers. I remember numbers way better than I remember people's names. And that's like my next door neighbor. She's an elderly lady. And I'm pretty sure I've heard her name before, but I can't remember what her name is, so I call her Grandma. I mean?
Yep.
And I won't say it to her face, but, that's what I refer to her as because I can't remember her name, and it's rude to call someone something if you don't know what their name is. I mean, that's like being in bed with someone and calling out the wrong name.
Calling out the wrong name, it's embarrassing when you can't remember a person's name and they're standing right in front of you. It's like, oh gosh, what's your name? What's your name? What's your name? Come on, someone say his name so I don't look like a fool. Yet you feel like a fool because you're forgetting the person's name at the time. I've been there.
Yeah, I was raised in a small town, and then I worked at the local gas station for a hot minute. And we would go to events in town, and people would walk up to me and start talking to me. And my stepmother would be like, "Who was that?" I had no fucking clue. She's like, "Well, they seem to know you." Well, they probably did. So,
because, you said you worked at a gas station, so some people, they recognize your face from working at the gas station, they may not remember your name. Just like, there are times we don't remember their name, but they recognize your face. So they know your face from somewhere.
Yeah, my stepmother was the world's worst with names. So apparently my brothers were always problems. So whenever I would be the random problem, she would call me Gary Bob J. And I learned to answer to Gary Bob J. Yeah. So, and I can't say I've never done that to my kids. My oldest son, I keep calling him my brother's name, so I told him he's just going to have to live with that.
But one of the questions I always ask a guest who comes on the Pop Talk and they talk about their channel is, where do you see your channel 6 months to a year from now?
Well, hopefully with videos. Because I started working on the first episode, and I didn't realize the way I'm going about it is very time consuming. I do believe the first episode has 5 scenes, might be 6, and I've only got one of them completed. And part of my biggest struggle right now is the voiceover, because I read like a second grader when I read out loud.
Mm-hmm.
And, when you're doing like a fictional thing, you do not want to sound like you just learned to read or that English is your second language. So I've been using AI generated text to speech, and, for about an hour, it works really great. And then all of a sudden, it's like, hey, I'm not doing this anymore. And then you get people that are like, well, go and pay for the voiceover. And I pay for it, and I still can't get it to work out half the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it gets frustrating. So I don't plan to get rich doing this, because if that's the plan, then I'm going about it all wrong. But I would like to have a little bit of a following. I don't need to become a YouTube celebrity. That would be overwhelming. But yeah, I haven't really thought of it 6 months in the future, because anytime I plan for the future,
Mm-hmm.
and you can ask Red Deck Snob this, anytime I plan for the future, things go to shit. So I plan for today.
Yeah.
And if today don't work out, I got tomorrow to try again.
Yeah, because there's that saying, man plans, God laughs. And,
And
for some of
and I
us,
mean,
we do live just from one day to the next. Just let me get through this day.
yeah, I was talking to a guy once, and it was probably on a dating website. And he's like, well, where do you see yourself 6 months from now? I'm like, dude, I can't even tell you where I see myself tomorrow. And apparently that was not the right response, because I didn't hear from him again. There are those people in life that can make plans, but I have learned that if you don't learn to roll with it and take the hits as they come, then it's just going to be the same shit over and over again.
I mean, it's true. I mean, even on the job, you have to learn to quickly adapt to a situation that might come up. You're not expecting it, but when it happens, it's like, okay, what are you gonna do?
That's when you call management, let them handle it. Yeah, I never have been good with authority figures. I don't like being told what to do, which is why my current job works out real well. Except, you can't guarantee when, how much you're getting paid per day. That's a major drawback. I made exactly $0 today.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. But you roll with it.
Yeah, you do. You have to. It's not in your control.
Hello,
And,
Leah. Hope you're doing well.
you think about the Serenity pair, or let me, control the things I can control and be able to deal with things that I can't control. I know I'm not quoted it anywhere near how it's actually quoted, but that's pretty much
God
the
grant me
gist of
the
it.
serenity. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I can change and the wisdom. Shit, I can't remember it now. You confused me. But
I'm sorry.
the there's another version of it. I can't remember that one either. And you know how I was telling you I read like a second grader? About 2 years ago, I filed for divorce. Okay. Which was a long time coming. And, because he and I had no children, no property, nothing of value. Together, you know, I did the divorce myself.
Hmm.
And I don't know if you're familiar with the whole process, but when you're doing it yourself, when you stand before the judge for the final time, he makes you read the affidavit out loud. I got to one word. I know what the word is, but I couldn't pronounce it. 4 times I tried. I finally looked up at him. I was like, you know the word I mean, right? And he just laughed. So,
Well,
but,
trust me, it's not easy doing public speaking, even in a courtroom.
well,
It's not easy.
I think I think in the courtroom, you're the only one talking and everybody's eyes are on you. And the first time you go to court and the judge reads, your divorce decree and realizes you've been separated for 26 years and she gets all kind of bug-eyed, you already know that, people are going to be really entertained by you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, it was a long time coming.
But what are some of the things that you like to do when you do have free time?
Well, if you would have asked me that about 3 years ago, I love to paint. Um, During the pandemic, when Uncle Sam was like, "Hey, here, have some free money," I started painting because painting is not a cheap hobby. And I was doing paint pouring, if you're familiar with that. And I was really starting to get good. I was enjoying it. My kids thought it was hilarious. I'd end up at the store and discover I have paint on my face, but I enjoyed it. And one of the things I enjoyed about it was the fact that when I paint, I don't think because I'm a thinker. If I'm sitting still for very long, I'm thinking. I mean, sometimes it's good things, but every once in a while you go to that dark place and, it was an escape.
Hmm.
And, I'm in a situation now to where I don't have the space to paint. And, you know, that is one of the things that I plan to work for this year is to have that space. But then I have to juggle everything else I got going on. And you can ask Redneck Snob, I have to have a creative project going at all times. If I don't, then I don't have coping skills. That is the way I cope with it. I do know how to crochet. I would like to think I'm pretty decent at it, but it's one of those things I can't just sit and do because it's boring.
Hmm.
I have to have something on the TV. I have to, be listening to a book. Something has to be going on with it. A few years ago, I discovered Tunisian crochet, which, if you're not familiar with that, and I don't see why you would be, it is a combination of crocheting and knitting,
Okay.
and not very many people do that yet. But, it's something, but I do really miss painting.
Yes, do you have any questions you'd like to ask Hellion?
I don't know. We've covered a lot today. So, what would be a
And I
question?
talk a lot.
Leon? Um, hmm. Are you? Have you actually thought about doing? Why do I have a feeling someone's messaged me and say, "Ask Hellion this"? But do you ever see yourself getting into science fiction, Hellion, or something you want to talk about, or any
Did
kind of
you miss?
comic book stuff, or besides, I know you're interested in things like the Vikings and stuff like Black Sails, but are you?
Apparently, he missed the point where we discussed my ability to adapt to science.
No, I heard all that, but still, are you feeling like you may want to actually research that
Well,
more?
the thing about it is, it would probably frustrate me because it would
Okay.
confuse me, and I don't like being confused. As for graphic novels, I probably could see myself getting into something like The Walking Dead. And
Okay.
by the way, I love The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead was a phenomenal series. But as someone that is a would-be writer, whenever I watch something like that, I think they limited themselves. The show could have been so much more because what they did was they threw out a shitload of characters and they didn't character build. You didn't fall in love with all the characters. Now, granted, they killed off most of them, but
All right.
they could have had that bigger impact if you would have known them.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I had fallen off with The Walking Dead, and then I came back with Rick and Michonne. Some of the
Yeah,
miniseries stuff, the Daryl Dixon, what's going on lately with he's in another country right now with.
he's in Spain right now.
hmm Yeah,
But
I have to catch up on some of those episodes, but I I came back. Some of the other stuff I didn't care about. With The Walking Dead, but I do recommend, like, if you want to play a game, you should play the first Walking Dead Telltales. If you can find that somewhere, which you should be able to still, you should play that. And I think you'll like Lee and Clementine a lot. That was a really good game.
It has a really good story, but
Mhm.
Hellion's right. In order to care about a character's death,
Yes,
especially, you have
yes,
to be invested in that character. You have
that's
to
right.
get to know who that character is.
I agree. And they do
and
this
that's
stuff.
like
Yeah. Mhm.
that's like I was watching Outlander, and I
Mhm.
love Outlander. I've
Mhm.
read the books to Outlander.
Okay.
Okay, it is a great series. But
Mhm.
I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it and I'm like, the writer limited herself. Why did she stick to one time frame? If you can time travel, why not do like another series and send them back to the Viking Age?
I don't know.
Send
Mhm.
them to other parts of history. So
Right.
I told myself, you know what? I'm going to do a time travel book. We're going to the fucking Viking Age. And it was a great idea in theory.
Mhm.
But do y'all know what they did with their time during the Viking Age besides
What do they do?
raid? I don't know. Though that's why I never finished that idea, and that's why it takes her so long to write a book because it requires so much research to get it right.
Yeah. Of
Yeah.
course.
So So I had to table that idea because,
Well, when he gets back, a good person to pick his brain on Vikings would be Baron.
Yes. Yes. Definitely.
so that that concept is probably going to go into a book, and it's going to be a time portal, but I think I'm going to change going back in time. Instead of traveling back in time, they end up in a Viking society of modern age. Because by doing it that way, I don't have to get it historically accurate. I don't have to know how the Vikings spent their day, if that made any sense.
Right. I gotcha. Yeah.
And you can jump to other portals and do, a Scottish space society.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's so many ways you can do it.
Yeah. But hello out there, Shane. Hope you're behaving
Yes.
yourself, man.
Shane says, you nerds didn't mention you were having a fair maiden upon thy stage. But no, that'd be a great story idea, Hellion.
Pookie, I am not doing anything scientific, so you can just hush. He knows who I am talking about. But, I mean, the thing is, I have all these ideas and no time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, I'm really surprised, someone with, alphabet letters on their uniform hasn't come to visit me for research. Y'all know who I'm talking about, right? Because there's quite a few organizations with with alphabet letters.
I can think of a few.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, because my dumbass got on Facebook one time, because this is before I discovered AI. Sometimes you have to rely on your Facebook friends. And I asked the question, okay, you've got a mother who's pregnant. How do you complicate the pregnancy to where she loses the baby? Yeah, I got an answer to that, but I'm really surprised no one come to visit me.
Yeah, you didn't get a knock on the door. Open up.
Yeah, I mean, I foresee it coming one day, and Beth better learn how to clear my browser history. That way, my relatives don't see this shit when I die. Because I do my best thinking in the car, and I end up with these ideas, and I'm like, I mean, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but anyway.
So I'm gonna put Phil on the spot here for a second. So he wanted me to, and this is not a terrible question, surprisingly, from Phil, but
Oh
he
wow.
wanted to know. I know it is. It's amazing. He wanted to know Waffle House or IHOP. What do you like better?
Well, when I was pregnant with my firstborn, I would have went with IHOP.
Okay.
But yeah, because that was what I craved when I was pregnant with him. But I would probably say Waffle House now because it has a more relaxed environment.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sure Phil will be happy with that answer because I'm pretty sure he's a big Waffle House fan.
Yep. And if anyone else has any questions for Hellion, please put them in the chat and then I'll highlight them. Get everybody involved. But when it comes to entertainment, what does a movie or show have to do to really grab your attention?
Well, one, character development.
Mm-hmm.
Because we already mentioned that. Like I said, I love The Walking Dead,
Mm-hmm.
and I think one of the most powerful scenes was when Daryl carried Beth out of the hospital after she died. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that scene.
I've
You
never
know,
really gotten into The Walking Dead.
it took me a long time, and a lot of people saying, you need to watch this, you need to watch this. So I waited until it wasn't cool, and then I started watching it. And, you know, it has to have a good story. I'm not much for comedy because most comedies are dumb. In saying that, I do like When Nature Calls because it is really stupid. But, you know, I like historical action. I like historical drama. Yeah, because, like, you know, I've established I have a fascination with history. Um, and I did like Lord of the Rings. And I guess that throws me under the fantasy category because, you know, there's nothing scientific about Lord of the Rings. It's just, you know, all these people fighting over a ring.
Mm-hmm.
Now, y'all know my views on Titanic. You know, it was basically a story of a woman who slept with a homeless man and then let him drown. But, you know, every once in a while I will do a rom-com, but I'm more of a TV watcher because I want shows that I can get attached to the character, you know, and I don't. That's one of the things about movies. About the time you form some kind of attachment to the character, the movie's over, and you know it's time to find another one. And you know, I don't know if y'all seen the show Manifest,
I've heard of it. I
but
just haven't watched it.
it is actually very decent.
Never watched.
It took me probably close to a season to actually get into it, you know, and it poses a major question. If you disappeared for 7 years and come back, how would your life be different? Because people move on.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, one lady, her fiance married her best friend. What do? You love them both. You feel betrayed, but 7 years pass.
Yep. You were gone those 7 years. They eventually moved on because they didn't know where you were.
You know,
They didn't know
I
if you were
tried.
alive. They didn't know if you were dead.
There was a show, I think it was called This Is Us. It is a phenomenal show,
Yeah, I've heard of it.
but it is,
Never got into
but
it.
it is super fucking sad, and it depressed the shit out of me. I had to quit watching it because it depressed me that damn much. But you know, I'm kind of eclectic on what I watch, though.
Nothing wrong with that. We all have reasons for liking a show. There has to be certain specifications for a show. Certain, you know, if you want to call it check boxes, call it check boxes. But a show has to be a certain criteria for us to be entertained by. And you know, not everybody's going to gravitate toward science fiction. Not everybody's going to gravitate toward fantasy, even historical, you know, miniseries or you know documentaries. But there's something out there for everyone.
And that's like, you know, on the whole fantasy thing, I did really like the 100.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if y'all seen that either.
That's another one I haven't seen.
You know, I mean, it was a great series. And, you know, Friends came out when we were in high school, correct?
Yes.
I didn't start watching it till a few years ago. And when I got to the last episode, I cried because it felt like I lost my friends. You know,
Yeah.
because you get emotionally invested.
You get invested into these characters as you know, watching shows like Friends. You know, Full House was one of my sister's favorite shows when it was on there, and she cried when that show ended. When it got to the end of Deep Space Nine, I was sad because I stuck with the show from season one all the way to its last season, which was the seventh season. So, seeing all these characters, because some of the characters did leave at the end of the show, and it's like they're gone, and we may never see these characters again. You go on these, episodic adventures with these characters, with friends. Hear all their little shenanigans and everything. The ugly naked guy and stuff.
Well, I loved Grey's Anatomy when it
Hmm.
started. It was a phenomenal show until the woke agenda took over it. You know, it just, I can't get into it anymore. I would love to, but, somewhere you've got to draw that line in the sand of saying, you know what, I don't want to be a part of it.
Yeah, it's like the current woke agenda that's in Star Trek now. I can't watch current Star Trek because it doesn't feel like the show that I grew up with. Now, granted, the shows I grew up with were Star Trek: The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Enterprise, but still, this new stuff doesn't feel like that. It doesn't even feel like the original series. They've bastardized it, and when they bastardize, shows like Grey's Anatomy, you feel betrayed, don't you?
Well, I used to be a big Stephen King fan. I loved his movies. I have a hard time reading his books because he is very, very graphic. And, I don't give a fuck what the color of the lampshade is in the other room. I really don't. Just get to the point. But anyway, his movies are phenomenal.
Mhm.
But the one thing I noticed with like Children of the Corn, the first movie, there's a certain premise. And it's like throughout the entire series, they start changing it. And it's not like the scenario evolved. It's almost like they forgot what it was. And there's a few of his movies like that. And, then you got Hollywood remaking shit. They should have left the standalone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the lady that played Mother Abigail in the first one was perfect. And there's no way in God's funky green earth you can tell me there's anything matronly about Whoopi Goldberg. There's not. And I don't think I got past the first 30 minutes trying to watch the remake. It's like, y'all have been saying, they keep remaking the same wheel and expecting it to roll differently.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
Yeah.
going to.
No, you can patch and repatch a wheel only so many times. You can retread a tire only so many times before you can't do it anymore.
I've listened to a lot of writers discuss writing. And I think it was Abby Emmons says, there's no such thing as coming out with a story that's never been done before. Because you got the werewolves, you got the vampires, you've got all these elements that people have done and done and done. But how you perceive it is what makes your story, what makes you unique, and why your story matters. Good God, I sound like I'm quoting her. And that's the truth of it. Every story has been told. You just got to spin it different.
You got to tell your version.
And that's like, I'm planning on doing, it's probably going to be in podcast form, a zombie series. Because, like I said, I saw The Walking Dead as being so much more than what they did. You know, I want my readers, my audience, or whatever, to fall in love with the character. I want them to be human. I want them to not be flat. And so you take the whole premise of zombies and you ask yourself, how do you make a zombie? You know, how do you unleash a pandemic upon the world? Well, it's simple. You throw in another supernatural element, a government created critter that carries the rabies virus. And I don't know if you're familiar with the rabies virus, but once symptoms of rabies are presented in a human, there is no chance for survival. So once you kill off mankind, once you infect the majority of mankind with the rabies virus, it mutates into the zombie virus. Yeah, and the problem with that whole series is I took it from one character for a point of view,
Mhm.
and it has morphed into 8 point of view characters that I have no chance in hell of trying to figure out how to put all that in one book, which is why it's probably going to end up being a podcast.
Yeah. I mean, one thing you could try to do is, in each book, introduce the new characters.
Well, because you typically, in any time you've got an apocalypse series, you're going to want characters that can thrive, but you also want the characters that can't thrive, if that makes any sense.
Mhm.
You know, one of the characters is going to be in, I think the name of the prison is Angola, and that's in Louisiana. And I figure, by all I've read and seen on podcasts and shit, you take your character and you throw as much shit at them as possible, to see what sticks. Every once in a while, you give them a little bit of a win, that way they think they have a chance. And then you throw another element at them. Well, this poor guy, not only is he in prison, but there's a hurricane coming through. There's a pandemic, that's globally. Hold on, what did I say? Oh, he's in prison. There's a pandemic. Let's throw in a hurricane. Now that we've got the hurricane in there, the alligators come out of the bayou. So this poor guy's going to have a hell of a time in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I told you I do a lot of thinking in the car.
Well, I mean, it's also got to be hard in between deliveries, having to wait for the next one to really keep your mind occupied.
Well, most days when we get the order, we shop the order, we're delivering the order, and before we get back to the store, we have another order. So my main thinking time is while driving. And yeah, so I get a lot of time to think, you know. So my biggest issue is I have great concepts, but I ADHD them to hell to where my little concept morphs into something that's too big to handle. I took a one story perspective and decided, you know what? Let's tell it from 4 point of views. And then couldn't figure out why I couldn't get it to mesh. It was too big. So, but those will probably be book forms, so because there's just some things you can't put in the podcast.
No. You could try to consolidate it, but even then, you might be leaving out something that you really like.
Well, it's not that, but if you're trying to tell a book, and the typical book is from 90,000 20,000 words, and you try to shove 4 point of view characters in there, you'll be lucky to get 12 chapters out of each character, which means you really ain't going to know your characters. Your reader is not going to know your character, and your reader ain't going to give a shit about them. It don't matter how much shit you throw at them, your reader's still not going to care.
Because you have to give your readers something to care about.
Right. You don't want to take a character who has no redeeming quality, because your reader's not going to give a shit about them. You want to make them a likable character. You want to make them flawed. So,
And
and I
that's
told
what
you I was
hurts a
a
lot of
talker.
modern entertainment, is that a lot of modern characters aren't flawed. They're perfect. But I hate to break it to anybody who likes the modern slop. None of us are perfect. We don't know everything out of the womb. We have to learn. We have to grow. And that's why you need the hero's journey. To see where the hero starts off in the beginning of the story, see where they are in the middle of the story, see where they are at the end of the story. I mean, I never got into the series, but I've heard from people how, the character growth in Harry Potter books is from one book to the next.
Sorry.
It's okay.
But there's many different types of plot structures, but they all have the same premise. You've got to gradually build the drama. Eventually you've got to have a resolution or some kind of ending. And for me, when I read, I do not want to read a book. No, I want a series. One of the best series I had ever read was by Heather Graham, The Crew of Hunters. And it's supernatural, but it is a great series. And you never want it to end. But then, they do like everybody else. Once you get so far into a series, they change the premise and you don't know what the hell's going on anymore.
And that happens with TV series too. Whether it be novels or books, they lose sight of where their end game is, where their goal is. Where do you want to bring this story as it reaches its climax?
And I didn't lie to you when I told you I was a talker. I mean, I'm the quietest one in my family.
No, you're not.
Don't worry, because you want to know something that Baron told me in the very beginning when he actually had me on his channel. He says the best thing you could do is, excuse me, have your guest on and let them talk, because they're there to talk, and you're there to listen to them. So that was one of the pieces of advice that he gave me when it came to interviewing people, because he has a background in radio.
Right.
So, I would pick his brain. And
I think the first show I caught with y'all, he was on there. And I'm not going to lie to you, I was quite squirrely that first night. So I didn't quite catch everything that happened. But I do look forward to chatting with him when he gets back.
I will definitely have you back when he does get back, so you can talk with him. And
okay,
because he is a wealth of knowledge, and he's become a great friend, and I'm sure he would give you some advice as far as writing your book. I know that's something that he delves into, and
Which one?
any of them
Yeah, I
really.
mean, like I said, I just have so many ideas and no time to implement any of it.
You're
None.
bipolar.
I'm not bipolar. You know, I mean, one day I'm going to become independently wealthy and can take the time off to do shit.
Mm,
But at the rate it's looking, that ain't going to be anytime soon. But you didn't
Well,
have to mute Cash tonight.
no, he can do it on his own. Surprisingly,
Well,
ain't that right, Cash?
Hey, Hellion is the guest, and when the guest is here, their whole job is supposed to talk a lot. So that's their job. Talk a lot.
I figured I put him asleep.
No, not at all.
He was like, damn, that bitch can talk.
No, but he is right. You're the guest. We want to hear you talk.
Yep, that's the whole point.
For nearly 3 hours.
And some
Oh,
people who
well.
come on here, it's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to. I don't want to just talk. I want you guys to talk too. It's like, no, you're the guest. We're gonna
Well, y'all
ask
need to talk too, because I'm running out of shit, without having to tell y'all my whole life story about how, when I was this many years old, this happened, and then, by the time I hit this age, this happened.
Dun, 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 dun.
That's right, because I want people to get to know you. People who aren't familiar with you, I want them to get to know you. I want them to subscribe to your channel, and I want your channel to succeed.
Exactly.
And I want to hear these ideas that you have.
Well, like I said, I had a lot of them, and it's just,
Well,
I've got to,
that's a good thing. It's just a matter of just sitting down and
finding the
working on
time,
finding the time, of course, and then working on them one by one. And you will do
and
that.
We're just gonna use it this week.
so, like I said earlier, I think, right now my primary focus is going to be on the damnation clause because it's a simple concept. Okay, and
Hmm.
then once I master that, then I can go on to something a little bit bigger. And at some point I'm going to write a damn book because I had a man tell me I couldn't do it.
Well, don't listen to the haters. You'll get it done. There's
Yeah.
no
So
timetable.
far I proved him right though.
I think you'll get it done. I think you
I
will.
was so excited. I was so excited once, and it was right when I first started writing the book. I had wrote, oh God, 45,000 words, and I was like, my book is complete. And then I got on Google. The minimum word count for a regular size novel is 90,000, and there's no way in hell I could have took that book any further. So I had to start over.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was kind of a kick in the shins.
Yeah. I mean, all I've ever written are short stories, so I don't know what it would be like to write a whole novel and try to make
Well,
sure that the story is still cohesive and flowing and not getting lost. And
but yeah, like I said, I end up taking a concept and you're like, okay, this is itty bitty concept. God, I sounded like Trump saying that. But anyway, it was an itty bitty concept. And then it morphs into this gigantic thing and I'm like, okay, how do I get from point A to point B? I've made
Mhm.
this so much more than it had to be. But and then I'm like, well, I can cut this down and I can cut that down, but I really like this. So
Sorry about that. I had to cough, and I didn't want to cough into the microphone.
Yeah, I've already done that.
But Hellion, it's been a great time having you on the show. I really appreciate you taking time out of your Wednesday evening to join Cash and myself. Oops. Did we just lose her? I think we just lost her. But let me just double check, folks. Just hanging tight. One second. I think we just lost her, folks. Yeah, here she is.
My dumbass hit the wrong button, but I'm
Well,
back.
well, as someone who has yeeted himself from the stream, I feel you. I feel you.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, just for anyone needing to know, don't if you're on your phone doing StreamYards, just leave it be.
Yeah. Otherwise, your thumb's gonna hit it, and it's gonna kick you off. Unfortunately.
And I was like, oh shit! Like I didn't mean to do that. Luckily, with my phone, I had an easier time getting back in than I did on my computer.
Yeah. And it's funny you should mention that because I've had times where I've tried to use my phone and even my tablet to get into StreamYard, and I had the hardest of time. It's like, okay, well, you guys have a good show. And when that's happened, Baron and Cash will put up the pirate flag.
Well, I do appreciate y'all waiting for me, but you didn't have to.
Well, you're the guest, and I wanted to make sure if you needed help trying to get, the mic settings set up, and as far as the, headphone settings set up, I wanted to be here backstage and be able to guide you through it without, trying to talk during the live stream and then sending you messages on Discord how to do it.
Well, I did learn a lesson. The next time I do one of these, I am showing up 30 minutes early for technical difficulties.
And
because I was not anticipating them.
Oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Cash and I and everybody who has stopped by who streams knows, how it could be. You could have all the preparations done the day before, have everything all set up, but there's something that's going to pop up unexpected that's going to delay the stream, or you have to stop the stream and restart the stream. I mean, I think about streaming on Rumble sometimes. There have been times where the stream started and then it stopped. I've had it happen on YouTube too, where I'm not even aware that the stream has stopped until I'm looking and I'm going, oh shit. Here I am too focused on the game and I didn't even realize that I'd lost connection.
Yeah, that sounds like something I would do. But yeah, see, I know when I decided I wanted to do a channel, I know I'm not a gamer. And I don't know how well I would do hosting, a live stream, because what all can you talk about by yourself? So I figure, if I'm going to do live streams, I need a bigger audience than the 8 subscribers I currently have.
But that's also how you grow, is with those 8 subscribers that you have. There are a lot of times when you start out, Hellion, you may be talking to yourself the whole time.
Well, I've talked a lot tonight. But
when you're talking to yourself, it's how you'll meet people, and it's how I've met Lady Miss. It's how I've met Godzillionaire. It's how I met Cash. It's how I met Baron. You will find people. And you will find
Well,
people too who want to, help get the word about your channel out there.
well, it's kind of ironic how I found any of y'all because I really didn't get involved in YouTube. YouTube was for music watching. That for me, that's what I got out of it. And oh God, right around the time of the pandemic, I started playing a game on my phone, and I met Arlena there. And we all played the game probably for a good year together, and we all finally had our fill of the game because the only way you can win is to pay, 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 pay. And I'm not going to pay to win. I shouldn't have to pay to win. And, we all finally got to the point where, like, you know what, we're not doing this anymore. And we all, left the game. Well, she told us, hey, I've met some people on YouTube, they're Star Wars fans, and that's what I'm doing now. So I decided to catch, one of the streams, and I think it was before it got really chaotic, and it was a fun time, and that's where I met Steven, and I think I met you through Steven.
Mm-hmm.
And then I met Cash through you. So it's like, what is that movie called? Basically where, how everybody is connected somehow. Anyway, but it's ironic how you meet people sometimes.
You never know where you're going to meet people. Even in your everyday life, you never know where you're going to meet somebody. You may only see that person one time too, but still, in that moment, you've met somebody.
Yeah, and years ago, I learned to eat some words. And those words were, there's not a motherfucker on this planet that I can't walk away from. Because I ate them, and I ate them hard. And I've never said that to another person again. Because like I said, it bit me in the ass.
Yeah.
Now, I did say it out of anger. And I did prove my point. And I'm going to shut up now.
But Hellion, it has been great to have you on as our special guest, and I know it's hard to keep Cash quiet because he's got a motor mouth.
Please, it's hard to keep Mike quiet. My ass, dude.
I think y'all both lost tonight. Because I think I had y'all beat.
You did, but that's the whole point.
But that is the whole point. When you're a guest on, doesn't matter if it's this channel, if it's on any other channel. When you're the guest should be allowed to talk.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not a guest anymore.
No, you're family. You're part of the Pacific414 family. Welcome to the family.
As long as y'all don't ask me for my shoe size, we're great.
Don't worry. I might need you to throw Cash out every now and then.
Yeah, right.
Eh.
Throw Mike out every now and then.
Well, just just give me a heads up ahead of time, and I don't mind coming back.
Hey, I certainly will.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, again, like I said before, I want you to be able to come on so you can talk to Baron and get to know Baron. And just be careful. Just be careful. He gets a little wild, a little crazy.
He's a little crazier than us, actually, especially about donuts. So.
Well, I mean, I can talk about just about anything except Star Wars and Star Trek. And it would be mean of me to join a show that is primarily focused on either one of them because I'm going to be heckling y'all the entire time.
Well, I would like to extend an invitation for when we
Okay.
have our Nuremberg watch party on February 11th at 6 p.m. Eastern.
What is that? I'm trying to
Nuremberg is
remember what
about
that was.
the Nuremberg trials at the end of World War II.
For the Nazis, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I can be there.
All right.
You're just going to have to remind me closer to time.
I will.
You know, my friend who is Beth, also known as Redneck Snob, keeps telling me I need to put shit in my calendar, but I don't. I like being just as surprised as everyone else when I don't show up for an appointment.
It's like, no, I can still remember this. my
Yeah.
memory is rock solid.
Yeah. It's like, you know, you get up, you go into the kitchen, and you're like, what the fuck did I come in here for?
Yeah. It's like, oh,
It's
where
like,
did I
oh,
put the
well, I'm
keys?
in here. I might as well just get me something to drink while I'm in here. And then you go sit back down. Oh, shit. I went in there for something to eat.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when you get older and you walk in the bathroom, you can't walk in the bathroom and not use it. I mean, if you don't need to use it now, you're going to need to use it in a minute. You might as well make use of it while you're there.
Yep.
I mean, yeah. Getting
It's
old.
like my sister, she'll laugh at me. She'll go, where are you going? I got to go back out to the car. Why? I left my phone in the car.
See, I can honestly say I very rarely have ever forgot my phone anywhere. But I did show up to work before without shoes. It was at the truck stop, and my manager looks at me, looks at my feet, and now granted I was wearing flip flops. She's like, Nicole, where are your shoes? I look down and I'm like, oh fuck. I was like, I guess I'm gonna have to go home and get shoes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not work footwear. It's like, come on, just let it slide this one time.
Yeah, they wouldn't. 'Cause they're
I know.
gonna have to pick up their asses.
But again, thank you for taking your time to join us this Wednesday evening. Of course, I want to thank everybody who stopped by for taking their time. Of course, I want to thank the GOAT. Thank you very much for stopping by.
Bye, Billy. Bye, Billy.
Trina, thank you very much.
Bye,
I also want to thank Betty Green. Thank you for stopping by. Pip Viper,
Bye.
thank you for
Bye,
stopping
Beth
by.
Ann.
Phil McCracken, thank you for stopping by, Phil. The best troll on YouTube. Actually, Darren would say
troll.
otherwise.
Baron's a way better troll than Phil. I told him that too.
And of course,
Phil that at least a few times.
Pat Wannabe, thank you for stopping by. DJ Roddy G and his turtles. Turtles. Devo, thank you for stopping by. Redneck Snob,
Bye,
thank you for
Pookie.
stopping by. Scott Westbrook, thank you for stopping by, and thank you for that $10 super chat. And don't worry, at some point there will be sacrifice of Steven. He just doesn't know it yet. We'll be playing the game, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, remember that $10 super chat Scott gave you? It's time to sacrifice Steven.
Woohoo!
Godzillionaire, thank you, brother. The princess of YouTube, the lady, Leia Rose. We also had Shane, also known as your Ron. I guess I'm Ron. Are you Ron Cash? I mean, yeah, we're wrong. He must be.
Whatever.
We must be. Also, I want to thank Glenn Schroeder for stopping by. I also want to thank the Guardian of the Void, Lady Mist, and her dragons for stopping by. So, Cash, what do you have coming up on the Phantom Hooligans? Although it should be Booligans. I love it when we call it Booligans.
The Booligans, that's around Halloween, but
And it should be Booligans all year round.
nah.
Well, you know, Baron and I have discussed this, and we think it should be Booligans all year round.
Well, Baron is wrong, so it's okay.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
Yes.
But anyways, what do you have coming up?
Always wrong about these things. He's too worried about donuts. So yeah, I'm gonna try tomorrow if everything goes well and set it up on the Rumble studio, and then if everything goes well, we should be ready for Friday to play some Evil West. If everything goes well, Mike. If things don't go well, I'm just gonna decide to probably do something else.
I've told you, I will help you. I will help you. Calm down.
No, it's okay. It's just I haven't used Rumble Studio before, so yeah, I'm a little annoyed.
Take it easy, man.
I'm perfectly calm, dude. Calmer than you are.
You just take it easy.
Calmer than you are.
That's right, Mike. Calmer than you are. No, but I just hope it doesn't go well. I just, I'm thinking ahead. So.
And anything else?
In the foot.
But yeah, just still working on some stuff. When it's ready, it'll be ready. The convention thing is something I'm thinking about either doing a live stream of or a video of. I haven't decided yet. I might do just a live stream of it, like an hour and a half or something. As long as I get enough material. I should. There's new information, of course, now with conventions again, Mike.
Yeah, they don't want AI art.
Nope.
And any
newest thing. They've had sex trafficking at Comic-Con a few years.
San Diego Comic-Con to be at the...
You got the pandering. You've got the people who pay money for, and I think those are all for the tickets for the conventions, and then they're lectured by rich celebrities or whatever. Ridiculous. Yep. So, no.
All right. So, anything else, Cash?
Nope. Just hopefully everything goes well. If everything goes well Friday, it should. Then after we're finished with Evil West, we'll find another game to play.
Yes.
We've beaten a few together, so
we have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Streets of Rage 4 was one of them that we beat together. River City Girls 2, we beat that together.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We played Broforce together, and
we beat that too.
We beat that.
That ending was crazy. Yep.
Yeah, it was. But as far as what's coming up on Pacific414 for YouTube and Rumble, all streams at 6 p.m. Eastern. Tomorrow, I'll be playing more Shinobi Art of Vengeance at 6 p.m. Eastern. Now, I am going to try something with Slobs, just like I do here with StreamYard, there is going to be a vertical feed of the stream, and there's also going to be a horizontal feed of the stream. So I'm just testing it for the first time to see how it works. I don't know if I'll continue it after tomorrow night, but it's an experiment. I'm always trying something different, and that's not going to change. And then after Thursday's stream, I won't have a stream Friday on the channel, obviously, because I'll be with Cash over on Phantom Hooligans. And Saturday, there will be no streams. And then Sunday on Pop Talk at 6 p.m. Eastern. I'm not really sure what we're talking about yet because I'm still looking through articles to see what stories are even worth talking about at this point. But it will be a stream where Stealth is Optional channel members will have the opportunity to come on to Pop Talk and join Cash and I.
What date is that?
That's going to be this Sunday, the 25th, and that's going to be for Stealth is Optional members.
Because the 28th is the anniversary of the challenge. if you're looking
And
for content.
the 28th is next Wednesday. Well, we can definitely talk about that next Wednesday. I have no problem making
I
that a
figured
part of
it
the
would be an
show.
interesting thing.
Yeah.
And we're not going to discuss how I can remember what date the Challenger exploded on.
For some of us, Hellion, for some of us who grew up during that time, it's embedded in our brains. We'll never forget it.
One of my kids' birthdays.
But yes, for Sunday, I will definitely have something prepared for Sunday, and of course, we will definitely talk about the Challenger incident that happened some 40 years ago this coming Wednesday at some point. And yeah, Tuesday on the channel for YouTube and Rumble, I'll be playing more Half-Life, and I intend on finishing the game. I don't care how long it takes me, I'm going to finish it. Despite all the doubters, I'm gonna finish it.
Fuck the haters.
That's how I look at it. So that is what's going to be coming up for right now on the channel. There's possibly going to be another Mass Effect stream for next Thursday, but I just got to do a few final touches on that before I actually make that stream public, as far as the description is concerned. But again, Hellion, thank you for being our guest. Really do appreciate it. And if you're not subscribed to Hellion, I'm going to put her link into the chat one more time. You could also find her links in the description on both YouTube and Rumble. So please, everybody, subscribe to her channel and let's watch her grow. And just
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
just remember one key thing: have fun. Have fun doing it.
Absolutely.
I haven't gotten to that part yet, but I have been practicing a little bit here and there with the game offline, low spec. So I'm going to do what I can during Tuesday's stream to beat it. But everybody, thank you. Again, subscribe to Hellion, subscribe to Cash, also subscribe to Baron. His link is also there in this description down below on YouTube and Rumble. And also, for anybody over on Rumble, I need to look for a raid target at the moment. So if you are over on Rumble, let's see who's live at this time. Raided him the other day. Want to try to raid somebody different that I haven't raided yet. Let's see who else is live. Not too many people that I follow are live. So you know what? If you are over on the Rumble side, I'll have it in there in just a second. For those of you who are on Rumble, let's go raid Fat Steven. Let's go raid him. See what he's up to. I know he was playing Arc Raiders. He might be also playing some zombies and Call of Duty 7. And who knows what else might be on the docket. All right. So I'm just making sure everybody's got that link. Let's see. All right. Should be there because I am checking Steven's channel and it does say that he's been rated. So everybody get over to Fat Stevens if you're over on Rumble and tell him that Pacific414 is rating the channel. And until then, everybody, remember two things on this channel. Don't ever give up on me in a game because just when you do, you might miss something. And I'm not just a baseball guy. I'm an all-around guy. Have a good night, everybody.
Autobots, transform and roll out!